What's going on? I am Nando.
And I'm DJ.
And that's it. This is Mostly Nitpicking, a podcast where every week we pick apart a piece of pop culture by looking exclusively at the details. Woohoo!
Woohoo!
No Diggins this week. He is away. He went to a very secluded mountain clifftop hospital to dig for records about his past.
Or his siblings' past.
Or whatever, yeah. And also, I'm pretty sure he drove off a cliff, because he parked on a cliff. And, he was, that for some reason, we'll talk about it, but that part, was one of the first things made me go, what the hell is going on in this movie?
Yeah. That was I had some prior to that.
Yeah, that's fair. We're teasing, we're going to talk about a movie. And then we're going to talk about another movie, because one movie that we said we were going to talk about, and we both watched it, and we have at least a sentence each. And then there's another movie that we weren't planning on talking about, but then I watched, and I was like, DJ, we should probably talk about this too. So we're going to talk about that as well.
Yes.
Really exciting. Two streaming movies, so movies anyone can see right now, as long as you have subscriptions to those things.
If you got the service, you can just turn it on and waste a total of 3.5 hours.
Yeah. I'd say
you.
Kate's in the 140 range, and I think the other one is about that as well.
Yeah.
But before that, DJ, how's it going? What's going on with you this week?
It's going well. It's lonely. We don't have the Diggins here. We're back to our old ways, just us two.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll ruin it. We'll get stuff wrong. If anyone's following Diggins on Twitter, it's not a secret. He's in Turkey, surrounded by cats. Have you seen all the cats?
I did see all the cats.
So many cats.
Do you think they're fans after our cats episode?
Oh, maybe they love us. Yeah, they might be so on board.
'Cause I remember when I went to India. And, obviously different place, but wild dogs everywhere. Lots of dogs. Not a lot, but more than you'd expect. And they were all chill. They were all dogs. They almost felt like dog commuters, where they would walk by you and look, hey, and then walk by. But no cats. Maybe one or two.
Right.
But that's kind of better, kind of worse, because I feel like maybe if there were cats, I'd be like, oh, let's come give me tetanus, little guy. And then, that would happen. But yeah, he has so many cats.
Yeah, so it's probably wasted on him.
Yeah, how does Diggins feel about cats? We can decide officially on the pod.
Yeah, we'll say I don't think Diggins is a fan. I think most animals he has an
immense hatred for.
No, I'm just what's the opposite of an affinity?
Aversion.
Thank you. He has an aversion toward most animals.
Yep.
So it's because he's the devil, but it's cool.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I can't wait. That's why I went to Turkey, because he wants to go to places that have the names of animals in them.
Yeah.
To get over his aversion. He didn't know he was going to somewhere that was named after an animal until he got there, I guess. He was like, oh my God.
Next?
Chad. Chad's an animal. A man can be an animal too. They are the most dangerous game. Are there any other countries named after animals? There have to be, right? There's gotta be one.
Diggins would know, but he's not here to tell us. And we're not sure if he's listening, if he's going to tweet at us guys, you forgot about Dog Swana or whatever.
Yeah, I feel like there's probably, I'm going to take a guess. I don't know. I don't think there's, I feel like there's probably not too many.
Maybe in another language that isn't English.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
This actually stands for,
Yeah, I think there's Madagascar, which is a movie about animals,
It's true, yep.
Yep. And then there's Tasmania. I don't know if that's a country or not, but that has a thing that is named after... Yeah, exactly.
We sound grossly uninformed.
I mean, I don't think there are too many. I'll be honest. I feel like I know most of the countries. None are jumping out. There's Greece. That's another thing. That's a homonym. How many homonym countries are there? Not that many.
What do you think you know better, Dando? Do you think you know countries better or Call of Duty maps?
Oh my God, I know all the Call of Duty maps. Boat, brown, boxes, house, 2 houses, boat 2. I don't know. I've never played Call of Duty.
Aquarium.
Yeah. I did watch that video.
I was wondering if that was
Yeah.
going to get by you or not. I'm
No,
like,
yeah.
Demand
I
Live,
actually
I'll
went
be
through a
like
bunch of
damn
donkeys
fool.
the other day, including his Kanye West Donda.
Oh, Leaking Donda?
Yeah, that was
Oh,
great.
Man.
I didn't
crazy
listen.
they
Did that
make
actually come out? Like the actual Donda?
Yeah, it's fine. I would say it's below average for a Kanye West album. And any album, probably.
Probably. I don't think I can ever like Kanye West again. He's too much of a weirdo. Like, and
Yeah,
by
that's
that I
fair.
mean like he goes and hangs out with Donald Trump and like says very strange things and just makes me and like I don't know. He was fun early back in the day. You
Well,
know,
he was great.
college
I
dropout and
maintain
all that
that-
stuff. Yeah.
I maintain if Kanye West dies after he puts out Dark Twisted Fantasy, he's like
Yeah.
up there with like Tupac, like greatest rapper of all time. Cut down before
Absolutely.
his prime. So there's the lesson. If you want to be famous, be really good and then like die young.
Yeah.
That's the secret.
Speaking of people that are really good at stuff, DJ, did you see? This was my plan to chit chat. Did you see the trailer for the show about someone who's really good at shooting bow and arrows? Hawkeye.
I did see a trailer about someone who's good at shooting bow and arrows, Hawkeye.
I guess two
And who-
someones who are good at shooting bow and arrows, Hawkeye.
Yeah. And someone who fixed their stupid hair.
Yeah, he got good hair again. Or at least people hair.
And he got fine hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, like hair that a human would.
Hair that a
certainly
middle-aged
have.
man would have. Yeah. I love that. The trailer looks great. It reminded me of all the things I love about Jeremy Renner. Like his weird app. Do you remember the app?
I don't remember the app.
Oh, DJ, the Jeremy Renner app it's gone now. I think he took it down because it was embarrassing. I'm sure what happened was his publicist was like, "Hey, you'll get $1 million if you just make an app," and he was like, "Okay, do that." But it
I
was
would like $1 million.
yeah, there was an app that you could buy. So like you would have it, and then it would post Jeremy Renner's Instagrams and probably a little bit of extra stuff, and also you could comment on it. And if you paid for stars, Jeremy Renner would reply to you on the app and
So
be
it was
like
pre-cameo.
but like not in real life, not with pictures, just like with a comment that's like, "Oh, cool," and it was like it was just such a like so sad. The Jeremy Renner app.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah. Also, this reminded me like this week I was reminded of his album. You ever listen to Jeremy Renner's music?
I have not.
It's exactly well. I don't know. What do you think it is? What do you think Jeremy Renner's album sounds like?
It's got to be a country album, like most certainly.
It's not. It's not. I wouldn't say it's country. I would say it's like
Okay.
it's not country though.
Is it? Oh man, is it like a jukebox album where he does like covers of stuff?
No, I
like all his
wish.
favorite songs.
Yeah, Africa. He just did all the ones that the Weezer did already. He took another swing at it.
Don't Stop Believing is in there. My goodness. Don't tell me it's a rap album. I will die.
No, I would. I would also die. I would have told you that by now, if like by
Right,
the minute
yeah.
I found out. No, it's not that interesting. It's just like that, like I don't know, Nickelbacky, like country rock kind of.
Oh, like come into the pub to drink 70 beers. Like one of those
honestly,
kind of
yeah,
deals.
it really does. I mean, I like Jeremy Renner, except for all the other stuff he does in his personal life. But just like the idea of Jeremy Renner, I think is fun.
Yeah.
I'd like that we're seeing him live out his midlife crisis in like real time, and this album feels like midlife crisis. The album.
Okay.
I would say anybody who wants a taste, go to watch his video for a song called Main Attraction, which like as a song, not terrible. But the music video is like him being cool and sexy at a club. And there's like young sexy girls that are like, ooh, it's Jeremy Renner from those movies. And then also for some reason cut into this video are like children, like very, very small girls that I'm assuming are his real children. And they're just like there, and I think that's a good mix for how tonally all over the place this thing is.
Right.
In terms of like, who does he think he is? But yeah. But what do you think of the show? What do you think the show looks like?
I honestly think it looks good. I know there's been talk about it's like taking after a very good Hawkeye comic where he's like running an apartment building or something like that.
Yeah, Hawkeye, the Matt Fraction, My Life is a Weapon, whatever it's called. I'm not sure if that's the name of like the first couple, like the first book or the whole run. I think it's like 22 issues. I'm actually rereading it right now. It's one of my recs, but
Okay.
Yeah, looks a lot like that. Although
the logo's the same, apparently. Yeah.
Yeah, I think recently, I was talking to Hannah about this. I think in the last couple of maybe like 10 years, they decided Hawkeye, like they kind of really, he got the most consistent logo and color scheme and kind of aesthetic of all the Avengers. Who doesn't deserve one? Like, where he's not like, you know, the mighty god Thor. He's just a guy with arrows. He could wear anything, but it's like purple and triangles and sunglasses and pants, regular pants. And like, he looks like he's probably going to be wearing that. I feel like there's like maybe one shot in the trailer where him and her are shooting, oh man, someone wants attention. Him and her are shooting arrows on the 30 Rock thingy. Yeah, it's my evil twin. On like the ice rink, and you can kind of see, I think that he's wearing some sort of new outfit that's just kind of a t-shirt, and that's like right what he should be wearing. Because that's all he needs. He doesn't need a fucking, you know, a little thing where one arm is a short sleeve and one arm is long sleeve, or some fucking ninja costume. He doesn't need any of that. He's just a guy. Put a t-shirt on him.
I think there's two things that I'm like, oh, okay, about this. So the one, the doing it very Christmassy, right? Mm-hmm. Like during the holiday season, I'm like, oh, okay, that's good. That's like a good idea.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a big Christmas thing near Christmas. Like I like that. I like that conceptually. And the like Steve Rogers musical, I'm like, oh, I think they get it.
Yeah,
like, they understand where they're at, and this is a good thing. And because I like thought that like Bucky and Falcon was gonna be like, oh, this will be a good romp, and like not that it was bad, but it didn't offer like the lighthearted stuff that I was looking for, which is like fine, but like I guess it didn't hold where my expectations will, and I feel like this will be closer to at least those expectations, where like this is gonna be funny and a goof because it's Hawkeye, and like. Even though it was just Bucky and Falcon, it was like, oh, but they're fighting like terrorists and there's morality and blah, blah, blah. And again, those are all fine things, but I think I'm ready for something that's a little more like light.
No, I'm with you. I think the Bucky Falcon stuff, I don't think there's anything wrong with having the main theme of that be like police brutality and imperialism. However, what I always liked about their relationship was just that they would both trip. And he'd be like, I hate you. You're an idiot. And they were like buddy cops, like, you know, Lethal Weapon kind of thing. And that's not what that was in that show. Right, it was a little bit of that, but then it wasn't mostly. So I think, I think the vibe of kind of, it's not even that it's lighter, because it's not, I mean, this will certainly be lighter, but just tonally more feels like a, I don't even know if this feels like, I mean, it definitely feels like the show. Or like the book, but it feels like a Christmas movie a little bit, like a Jingle All the Way or something.
I was gonna say, you know what feels like it might have that energy, like a Shane Black.
Oh man, what would it be like if he made a movie in the MCU? Bang, bang. You know, that'd be wild.
Who knows? Maybe he should Christmas theme it. Oh wait,
yeah.
But like kind of that vibes.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think it's got. I'd say that's probably right. It definitely.
We'll see.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of even like because costumes, aesthetic, some of the characters look very similar to the Fraction Hawkeye run. But then there's also like some of the set pieces, like that scene with the car is right out of issue maybe 2, where he's like getting in a chase, like there's a car chase, and he's like, Kate Bishop, use this arrow. This one's the one that does this, and she's like, what? And that's fun. And he's just like, he's an idiot, and that's great. And also, I think she looks great. Haley Steinfeld, like she's very funny.
Yes,
I've liked her in everything I've seen her in, pretty much. Like Bumblebee, the Spider-Verse. Like she's very like she's got more range than I'd expect from what I'm assuming is she's like a Disney Channel star or something.
I don't know where she came from. Like what factory created her?
I think it was.
Or if she's one of those like Billie Eilish organic stars who it's like, oh, you just have talent and we're found. No, okay.
I'm sure it's a mix of both, but I'm pretty sure she was on either. She was a musician before, but I also think she was on a show like, you know, Victorious or whatever.
Every star is now manufactured. There's no one
the rules.
Who is.
And listen, as long as they're good, that's fine. I understand the idea of like, hey, here's this like kid who can sing and dance, and then Disney's like, yeah, she should be in something for us when she's 10, and then when she's 15, and then when she's 20, and then when she's 30, and then forever.
And until the end of time.
Yeah, she was in she's in that Emily Dickinson show. She was in Pitch Perfect. That's kind of what she's one of her credits.
Is that where Machine Gun Kelly featuring Haley Steinfeld, video short, At My Best. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, she is also a musician. She's a young pop. She was a pop star.
Right.
And that was like what I first learned about her when she probably was cast in Bumblebee, whenever she was first on my radar. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Like, they tend to cast those, that young pop stars and stuff. But then she was, and then she was good. She was in True Grit. Oh yeah, she's the little kid in True Grit.
I never saw True Grit.
Me neither. I think I got it from the. I'm sure it's good, but yeah. I guess she's always been an actor and she's always been like talented. But it doesn't seem like she was ever on a Disney show. She was a recording artist for a while though. That I know for sure. But yeah, so I think she's going to be a cool Kate Bishop.
Yeah, agreed.
I hope they get all the parts right. I hope they get the guys in tracksuits to say bro a lot. I hope they get the clowns and stuff. There's lots of great stuff. And yeah, I feel like they'll probably have to make the Rogers musical now. I feel like we could just,
right?
not even harass them, but just like bug them, and then they'll be like, okay, fine. I think
we already did the music. Here it is.
It'd be great. Like, I don't see any reason why not to do it in terms of like, it's probably not that hard to make, just stage a musical and we'll all watch it. It's like, I think it'd be fun to watch a parody of Hamilton that takes itself super seriously, but I don't know if that's what, I'm sure they would just make a pretty fine musical that everyone would go like, oh yeah, that was good.
I have a very important question for you, Nando. Mephisto?
Who is Mephisto in this? Well,
no, just Mephisto. Like, is it Mephisto?
I think it could be. It's going to be one of these times. It's definitely going to be Mephisto.
Eventually, it has to be Mephisto.
Yeah. I mean, it won't because China doesn't like Mephistos or something. Something about the devil makes things unsellable. Although, I don't know if these count, these like Disney Plus shows, but it'll show up. He'll make an appearance. Probably as Spider-Man. Probably Tobey Maguire will take off his face to reveal
eventually will have to be Mephisto. They can't hold down us forever.
It would be great if in the end of like Phase 4 there's just a scene where like 15 characters all morph into the same. Like it's like, oh, the guy in charge of the sword from WandaVision, and then one of the background guys from Loki, and we just see them all turning into Mephisto when they turn a corner, and they're like, everyone was right, every single one. If any of you thought a main character was Mephisto, they mostly were.
It was always Mephisto.
Yeah.
Turns out Thanos was Mephisto.
Yeah, Thanos, Val, all the What If guys. Kate was Mephisto, not Kate Bishop, the one from the movie we watched. I mean, there may be some Mephistoing in another movie we watched, but yeah, there's just Mephisto all over the place.
So, yeah. I mean, I'm excited. I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be good. I mean, all these have been like good. None of this point. I think I was the lowest on Captain Falcon, but I think it being like the first one. Like, I know not, like, WandaVision was first, but it was, like, made first or whatever. This just felt like, they're like, we're gonna make a TV show and see what happens.
Yeah, I feel like the idea has always been, like, we're gonna make TV shows, but really they're just very long movies we split into 6 with little cliffhangers. And I'm fine with that if what we get at the end of this is just one 2.5 hour long Christmas movie starring Hawkeye, which is probably what it'll end up being. And, like, I like Christmas media. I feel like, remember, like, what's the last Christmas media we've gotten?
The fucking Christmas Chronicles 2?
Oh, yeah, that was good Christmas media. What about that movie where Daenerys had a heart transplant from Snake Eyes?
Oh,
yeah! Yeah, we didn't watch that, but that's what it was.
That bullshit. How did we not do that? Maybe this Christmas we'll do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what
we're
going to do.
It was called Last Christmas, wasn't it?
Yeah. No Spider-Man, no Matrix, no Kingsman. We're going to do Last Christmas.
Last Christmas,
2-year-old Christmas movie that everybody knew the twist of when they watched the trailer for the first time. Starring an actor.
I feel like I had to be told about it. I, like, missed the boat somehow. Last Christmas.
Yeah, it's a pretty, that's a movie. Speaking of movies that are from Netflix, I think it was a Netflix movie.
Yeah.
Maybe. Speaking of Netflix movies, we got one of our movies this week is a Netflix movie. Boy, is it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. part of a subgenre of Netflix movies where they take one actor you recognize, put him in a movie with a lot of stuntmen, and the movie is fine. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like I would call this genre action movie.
Yeah, I feel like it's like, I don't know what, like it's, this one I think is more John Wicky than the other, than Extraction or Old Guard or any of the other ones of these that exist, but they're all super forgettable, just fine movies that you watch and you're like, that was fine.
Yep, I watched a movie, there were gunshots and stuff happened.
Yeah, twisted turns, characters, the end.
Yep.
Yeah, and also in the end, spoiler alert for all of these, the main character dies. I don't know why that's like part of the rules of these Netflix original movies, but the main character dies. Although, does the main character die at the end of Old Guard? I cannot remember.
I never saw Old Guard.
Yeah, you never.
Wasn't the whole thing that they can't die?
It was, but then there was someone that figured out how to kill them or something by taking their blood away. I don't know. It's. I think at one point someone takes someone's place or something. I don't know.
Was that Will Smith movie where they're superheroes, but they become less super if they're near each other?
Charlize Theron again. She's in all of those movies. They can never make a
Justice League.
Yeah. The Justice League is like, it's all, if everybody gets their own office. It's like Justice League Work From Home, where everybody zooms into Justice League meetings, and then they just tell each other, all right, this one's your crime, this one's my crime. Yeah, that movie, man, Hancock. Ugh, that is.
Oh, Hancock, that's right.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Charlize Theron is the girl, like the whatever angel woman or whatever they are in that one, and then she's the Old Guard axe person in that one too. So,
something about her and being an immortal superhero or whatever. It's her lane, I guess.
And I mean, that's kind of also what this is. I would say this movie also skews in that like Atomic Blonde genre of just like, that's also a movie that's kind of like John Wick with an actor that people like, and let's see if that's something.
Yeah,
it's fine. What are we going to do about the IMDb this week?
It's so stupid. I don't know why they keep making these, because, I don't know. I guess people watch them and the algorithm's like, yeah, these are worth making.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we watched it, but also it's definitely at the top of their watched list, right? Do you check on that?
I see it, and I think it's bullshit.
I do too.
I don't know how that shit's real, to be very honest.
Yeah, I think it's a big psyop. I think every so often there will be one that's like every, couple of months the government will have one that they'll just put in, and it's like, everyone likes that movie about how billionaires are actually good, and you just look at it and go, I guess they are, and then you change your opinion based on Netflix's projection thingies. I don't know.
We know the people love superheroes, but how much do they love other kinds of things?
Yeah, and like, it's like, I feel like there was that one day where it was telling the truth, where it was like everyone's watching the porno, and there were two pornos thingies that were there. That felt very good. Like, that felt like, all right, this is legit, this scheme. But then I don't think it's been truthful since then. I feel like they learned their lesson, and we're like, one kids show, one movie, one old movie for no reason, so we can get people online to be like, Green Lantern, and then our 50 series is that nobody watches. Not that nobody watches, but just we don't advertise, so nobody knows exist outside of seeing a picture and going, what is Q-Force? And then that's it. Yeah. But we got a movie today. It's called Kate.
Boy. Yeah, it's called Kate.
We made a mistake. Well, we didn't make a mistake. It's fine.
Yeah, no, this was deliberate.
Yeah, and it's got Mary Elizabeth Winstead. She's the main character. She is the titular Kate. And so that was part of it. It's part of why we watched it, because of the running joke.
This show, what joke? This show's just obsessed with Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Nando.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're implying.
It's true, and she's so great, like, in this, in general. I feel like she's never, that's not true. Well, probably never, at least in my memory, turned in a bad performance. I don't think that one where Will Smith was two Will Smiths was bad. What was it, Gemini Man? Like, I don't think that one, I don't think she was bad in it. She was probably fine. But all the rest of them, like Huntress and Silverfield and Scott Pilgrim and Sky High, she was pretty good, It's like the opposite of Bruce Willis, She's got hair.
The opposite of Bruce Willis.
She works hard.
She cares a lot.
Yeah, she cares a lot. and she's good in her movies. Also, what else? What else is opposite about Bruce Willis with her?
Not bald.
Not bald. Yeah, she has hair. She's sometimes her hair is long and sometimes it's short. Sometimes she cuts it during the movie as a cool fight move.
You gotta have like a change or whatever.
Yeah, and she's good. So I understand why we like her. Where did this come from, though, DJ?
Well,
you remember what movie
I think,
it was?
Birds of Prey.
Has to be, right?
Her as Huntress, and I said something about her was delicious. As like, not even like as a joke, just like, I don't know, like a thing. Like,
yeah, I think you said that her performance was delicious or something.
It was genuine. I wasn't trying to be a creep, but everyone tells me it's creepy. I don't know. I have no sense for these things.
I guess it would be less creepy, and people to watch the show would be able to give us a sense for this if you have said any other actors are delicious. Like that Chris Hemsworth performance, delicious. I don't know. Maybe it's been happening the whole time, and it just came up that one. But yeah, I mean, she was in that movie, and then we all made jokes about it, and now she did this movie, and I was like, oh, Married with Elizabeth Winstead. That's pretty good. That'll be funny. And then we watched it.
We definitely watched it. We spent time out of our days to hit play on Netflix and watch this shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are we doing about the IMDb thing? We're just gonna skip the IMDb?
So I don't want to skip it because these things are always like too good to skip. So okay, I had an idea. It's a really dumb idea, but I want to go with it. So what if you give, because we're doing 2 movies, right?
That is 2 movies, yeah.
So we can each do one. You can do Kate, I can do the other one, and we could like grade each other, and we could see like how we did.
And whoever does the best knows who wins.
Whatever.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah,
I mean
but I feel like that's the best way to do it.
Doing the next movie, that's gonna be something. I mean, to be like, we could also, if we're grading each other, we could just like both not look at the IMDb thing at all, and then just
too late.
You already all right. Then
well, at least for Kate, I didn't look for the other one.
No, that's fine. Let's do Kate. I'll do Kate.
All right. So I want to give you something, right?
Okay.
So I don't think there's like a word or a phrase or anything that would be like, oh, you'll like definitely win it if it were like you versus Dickens.
Okay. I
don't think there's a slam dunk thing.
I feel like I have a sense for what this is, just because it's so much like other movies we've already done that pretty much just have to remember what Extractions one of these was. I can just change some words. I'm imagining. Oh God! All right, I have to remember what the plot of this actually is. Here's my guess: after a hit job gone wrong, after a job gone wrong. No, hold on. After her last job. I feel like that's important. Professional assassin Kate learns that she has been poisoned and must spend her last 24 hours on Earth hunting down the people that poisoned her. That's my guess.
The only thing you got assassin in 24 hours.
Not even Kate? Was Kate in there?
No.
What?
No.
I guess they figured we would know it's a Kate movie since Kate was in there. What was it like in between the events of The Stranger Things and Extraction? What was it?
A female assassin has 24 hours to get vengeance on her murderer before she dies.
Female assassin?
Yeah.
What a weird way to describe that, Netflix or IMDb.
Yeah.
It's like that time that OJ... Did you ever see that video? We talked about this.
I'm not sure.
So OJ Simpson... a real hero who did nothing wrong. Just kidding. He sinks. He was doing a TikTok, I guess, or something. I don't know what the fuck. I don't know why I know what his TikToks are, but he was talking about the vaccine, and he was talking about how he took it, or when he decided to take it, or something. And he was like, his TikTok was something to the effect of, you know what? I've definitely heard a lot of people talking about the vaccine, and you know, I watched the news today, and there was a female doctor, and she said,
"Oh God,
yeah, I know." And it was like, I think I replied to it. Thank you so much, OJ. If you had just said doctor and then my head would have exploded. I would have been like, but a man doctor.
Yeah, no,
yeah,
I need one of those. Like, what are you talking about?
Is this Ben Shapiro's doctor wife? Is that what kind of doctor we're working with, OJ? But yeah, so a female assassin. Cool. Cool. As if, like, the main assassin in pop culture right now is not Black Widow or something. Like, I don't know if John Wick or Black Widow is more ubiquitous, but, like, it's not like... This doesn't read kind of like a Mulan, which is how... Like, that's how the IMDb were the first soldier in China that's actually a woman. But, I don't know. Way to go, IMDb.
You nailed it.
Yeah, nailed it.
So to be clear, this is not the main movie we're doing today. This is part of a segment that Roger had recommended, DJ's Delicious Deep Dive.
Yeah.
Which I hate but love. Like, I feel very ambivalent about it.
I think it's gonna, like all segments, just lose all meaning eventually, so then it won't even be a joke about creepiness. It'll just be something that, like, our listeners are like, why do they call it that? There must be some reason. Did she make a cake in one of these movies? Okay. So, we just have to do it a lot, and then it will, become meaningless.
But, how many movies? She would have to start doing, like, a Nick Cage run of movies for that to happen.
I think she already is. I don't know if the pandemic has changed her schedule. I don't know if she's going to be in there. They're making, like, a Black Canary movie. I have a feeling she'll pop up in that. But, like, okay. I feel like Mary Elizabeth Winstead pops 2 movies out a year easily. Like, she is...
Oh, good. We can do this segment twice a year.
Yeah.
Huzzah.
She's working. She's like... Yeah. This is why she's the anti-Bruce Willis, is because she's in the movie she's in, as opposed to deep-faked into a bald man that looks kind of like her, and then she sells you a Russian cell phone plan. That'll be when we know Mary Elizabeth Winstead is giving up. When she starts deep-faking Russian cell phone plans.
Oh, my God.
But yeah, so Kate. Movie's called Kate. Let's do this, DJ.
Yeah.
Who are your, like, top 5? If you had to name, maybe not 5, top 3 people named Kate in the world, like famous people or fictional people or whatever. Who are the Kates?
I feel like Kate Winslet's like a big Kate, right? Like that's that's gotta be a top 5 Kate.
I think so. Kate Hudson maybe was a top 5 Kate. I'm not sure what she's up to. I know she's big on athleisure.
Yeah.
And then you got Kate Bishop from Hawkeye. Not quite there yet, but will be eventually, I'm sure.
Kate, isn't there like one of the royals? Is there a Kate there?
Kate Markle? No. Kate.
No, it's Meghan.
Harry and Kate? Is that something?
No. It's Harry and Meghan. It was Kate and...
Oh Middleton, God. Right? That's Kate Middleton.
Kate Middleton. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Kate Capshaw. Is that somebody? Say that was like Spielberg's wife back in the day. I think that's a famous person. A lot of Kates out there. Any that aren't entered. I guess we only know media people.
Yeah, right.
And we haven't had like a President Kate. Kate.
Yeah, I don't know if we even had like a Senator Kate. We're probably really behind in the...
I'd like to believe we have... We got to get the Kates.
No, there haven't been a ton of female senators.
That's true.
Senator Kate. There's an Australian senator, Kate Lundy.
Kate Kane. That's another comic book person.
There's the Oregon State Senator, Kate Lieber.
There we go. Ohio Senator Kate Schroeder. There's plenty of Kates. Where does Kate from Kate rank among the Kates, would you say?
Oh, wow. Is there a bottom 5 list I could put her on?
Oh, my God.
Because that she belongs there.
Oh, I don't even know who those bottom Kates would be.
People know how I feel about Mary Elizabeth Winstead, so this is saying a lot about...
Wow.
How I feel about Kate.
I would say she ranks among the top Kates.
What?
I don't know.
You're out of your mind.
She's just as good as Kate Hudson in my book.
Bottom tier Kate if I've ever seen one.
I mean, she does say Kate a lot. Like, they branded the... Yeah. I know nothing about this movie before I found out it was called Kate. And that's most of what I know about this movie leaving it, is that one of the characters was named Kate. I almost wanted the other character to be like, I'm the new Kate. At the end. So like, call me Kate.
Would have barfed.
Yeah. So it's starring Kate. Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Kate.
Yes.
Who directed it? Anybody famous?
I don't think so. I was trying to look, and I'm like, I don't think this is any big deal.
This is let's see. Oh, Jeremy Wan directed this one too, or James Wan directed this one too. No. Yeah, what a run he's having. Yeah, who knows? It's got Woody Harrelson as the other guy.
Somehow.
He's in there.
He's stuck his way in here.
He'll do a movie. As long as he just gets to stand around most of the time. But also, he does a good job, not like Bruce Willis.
Sure. He, gives a fuck, I guess. So
yeah, I think his performance in this is okay. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, because I was watching this, and, Michelle didn't watch it with me. I was just on in the background. And she's like, God, he's in everything. I'm like, yeah, he's have a bit of a run recently.
Yeah.
But to be like fair, like good performances, like, you know, I think there's something to that.
Yeah, I mean, remember that Venom post-credit scene where he had that bizarre wig on and he said the word carnage at the end of a sentence? That was fun. He's in the Hunger Games wearing a bizarre wig. I feel like he was wearing a hat in Zombieland, but a wig was probably present under the hat. And then he was in this. No wig.
Just him.
Very relatable.
Straight up Woody Harrelson. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I related so much to that.
I wish there was an actor like that where the rule was every movie they have to have a different wig. They can never wear the same wig twice. And we got to like, you know, shaved half of the head, spiked, you know, cyberpunk hairstyles after Woody Harrelson turned 80. Like that one scene in, speaking of Bruce Willis, that one scene in Looper where he's transitioning from Joseph Gordon-Levitt to Bruce Willis. And there's like Bruce Willis with the silly hairstyle. And it's like, that is not how this works, computer. Whoever told, like, the modeling software, this is before Bruce Willis deepfaked himself into movies. And the computers knew Bruce Willis better than the back of their hand. But yeah, that was not a recipe for success. But yeah, Woody Harrelson's in this. That's it, though, right? Anybody else famous?
Not that I mean, it's hard. There's like a lot of Japanese actors. I don't know if like they're famous anyway. But,
yeah.
You know, they're kind of like all over the place. So I will mention that. So the reason that like Nando and I originally were going to do Kate, like, oh, Mary Elizabeth Winstead and this movie looks bad, we'll do it. But the reason we pivoted to do another movie, which, you know, I'm kind of excited to talk about, is because this movie's super boring.
Yeah, it just kind of is a movie.
It's so, all right, I'm going to say this and probably get canceled. And I tried to workshop this.
Okay.
It doesn't sound good coming out of my cisgender white male mouth, but I'm going to say it. We're going to go for it. Let's see if we can get ratioed, Nando. Let's see if we can get ratioed.
All right. Well, if my O.J. Simpson joke comment before didn't do it, I'm sure nothing will. But
I think this is progress that God damn it, a movie starring a like a lead woman as like a quote unquote like impossible woman, like a John Wick or like a Liam Neeson or whoever, it can be just as bad as any generic action movie starring a man. So equality?
Yeah, that's what I always say.
Have we reached it? Is this equality? It's like we did it. Regardless of gender, they could all be bad.
I feel like Wonder Woman 84 was that. That was the one where I was like, you know, congratulations. Now you got a good one and a bad one. That's how Spider-Man is, you know. Most of them are bad. Yeah. So, you know, this is how you know you made it. I'd
be like to be very clear. I don't have a point. I'm just kind of throwing that out there as like I was watching this and I'd be like, because I like Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and I'm like, good for you, Mary Elizabeth Winstead. You made a bad action movie where you put in a good effort, but the movie was bad, and you probably made a lot of money off of it. So like, good for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was fine in terms of that it was like average. Nothing about it surprised me or was all that interesting. There were some fight scenes that were good, better than others.
Yeah, I give it a slight below average. I will tell you, Nando, I thought nothing about this movie was delicious. Not even Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Not even Bang Bang Yellow Drink or whatever it's called?
Oh, God. No, not that. Not the fact that she has some Black Widow-like powers of being able to fall 50 feet, slam her head on the concrete, and be like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good, everyone. Not, what else is dumb? Not the fucking kid who's like, fucking shit, damn balls.
Wow,
I fucking hated that so much.
I like how movies about assassins just have to be this now, you know? Like, it really does feel like with the Extraction and Old Guard, it's like you have a grizzled... I mean, it's not anything particularly new for entertainment, this Lone Wolf and Cub story, but, like, man, we're doing it a lot. Netflix, you gotta like, pump the brakes on that one. Let us catch up.
Because, like, I'll watch, you know, just a fucking movie where Mary Elizabeth Winstead where Kate has to, you know, kill her murderer within 24 hours, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that's all you need.
I feel like it is...
You don't need the added bullshit. It added nothing. It took away from, in fact.
I feel like it is the, like, not like, just standard way to make it be like, oh, there's emotional stakes now. Because she doesn't want the kid to die, and it's just what they do. And sometimes if the kid is cool, like Mandalorian, we like it. And most of the time... they're fine or to nothing. Reminds me of Birds of Prey, another movie with this, like another kid following around a murder person. Speaking of the director, I figured out who he is. His name is Cedric Nicholas Troyan. He directed 4 movies, including Kate, and one that hasn't come out yet called EXO. So really 2. The Huntsman Winter's War, and a short film called Carrot vs. Ninja.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
This movie, I lied, by the way, this also has one other famous person in it. Do you remember who? It's already been so long since I've seen it, because I watched this movie in halves.
I watched it over the weekend, also in halves.
Yeah. Michael, who's... Michael? No, Michael usually isn't spelled this way. Husman or whatever. He is the guy who is Dario, the second Dario, right?
Oh,
in Game of
who
Thrones.
Does he play in this?
The hook, the prostitute.
Oh,
Is that not who that guy is? He's from stuff. I saw him in that other show. What was that one called? The one where it's like, oh god, the flight attendant show. I feel like that's him. I might be wrong about this. No, it's him. Totally second Dario.
It's him? Okay.
Yep. Yeah, he's in there.
Okay.
He's handsome in this.
I mean, sure. By the way, I realized I didn't grade you on the IMDb thing. I'd probably give you like a C.
That's fair.
You know,
I didn't call her a woman. Make sure to think about that.
Female,
Keep that in your mind. Yeah, for Malignant. Make sure to name every gender of everything.
Will do.
Yeah, this movie's. I think it's a very serviceable, fine movie. That if it was on and it was stuck in a room, I'd probably watch it.
It's like, I don't know. I feel like the stuff with the kid takes a lot away, but even the stuff before that, I'm like, it's fine. It was paced like pretty poorly, and like I know you don't have to fully get into like Kate's deal, but there was like really nothing there. Like the brilliant thing about John Wick is like you're on board from second zero because it's like if someone did that to my dog, I would also do John Wick like things.
Well, and John Wick takes a long time to like start murdering people. Like, we get a lot of him just being, like, a nice guy and trying to be happy, and then, like, a switch is flipped at the end of Act 1, it's like, oh, never mind, he's going to kill everyone. And that contrast, I think, really is part of why the first John Wick is so, like, rock solid. Just, damn, this movie's good. And this one is just, like, she's an assassin, you know, like the other ones of these. So, just figure out what those traits are, and you can transpose them onto Kate. She wants to get out of the game. She's kind of conflicted about killing children. You know.
Yeah. We said no kids.
Yeah.
Why? Why did you say no kids? Do you think that makes you a good person?
Right? Like
come on.
What if she's the worst kid? You know? What if she is... What if... Who do you think will win in a fight? Well, we'll get to it later, I guess. I want to talk about it
I don't know, will we?
Well, I want to talk about it in terms of the next movie.
I don't know.
I don't know. Empty football stadium, just who's coming out on top. But Kate is... Yeah, I don't know. She's an assassin with a heart of gold. Woody Harrelson is in it. He's her handler. She gets poisoned by someone. Who could it be? Who could it be? Probably all the people she's been trying to kill, right? Who else could it be?
Right. Yeah.
And that's it. And then the movie kind of goes, and then she picks up a cub as a lone wolf herself. And then that's the movie.
I feel like one of the things with this movie is so, like, spoiler alert, it turns out Woody Harrelson poisoned her.
What? He was her friend and mentor. He was a father figure.
Yeah, can you believe it?
She was telling him that she wanted to get out of the game.
Yeah.
To be fair to him, he kind of didn't poison her.
Yeah. It's weird. It was crazy. The 11th hour nuance of, wait, he didn't want her to die?
Yeah.
What is this?
He's just like, yeah. I mean, I get that.
So we could like talk about this like one point, but so like someone else literally did the poisoning. Because, like, Kate's like, I'm getting out. And Woody Harrelson's like, yeah, it wasn't, you were going to poison her. I was going to get her back in.
Yeah.
That's, like, not be, like, a total dick. But he dies, like, 3 seconds later. So it's like, movie, what was the point of this?
I mean, I feel like there's no point. I guess, like, if I'm thinking about being an assassin, have you ever thought about being an assassin?
No, not really.
It's probably not that hard to do. Like, I feel like all you have to do, is we've seen in Kate, is get your family assassinated. And then you get drafted into the Assassin's Club. But I feel like I know enough about assassins that if someone was like if I was like, hey, I think I'm going to quit assassinating, and they'd be like, okay, you want to go down? I'd be like, no, I got to hand in my 2 weeks at the Assassin's Club. I'm like, they're going to kill you, buddy. That's not going to work. They don't let people leave assassinating. But I feel like this has happened multiple times in movies. I can't remember other versions, but this has happened before where a character's like, I'm going to get out of the game. It's like, you just don't. This never happens. Where does she get this? Like, is this always happened? Like, the person's like, I'm gonna go retire to the beach, and then they never see that person again, but they just get a postcard that's like, hi, I made it to the beach, safe and sound. Goodbye.
I feel like the Transformer was kind of like this. Did that movie have like a through line of like, I'm getting out? It's like, you're not getting out, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And it's like, they dragged me back in.
I want to go with this joke and be like, yeah, and then it's like, I'm not gonna be a car anymore. I'm gonna just be a robot. And then they're like, you're a car again, Optimus. You said Transformer, I think. I'm not positive. I wish Diggins was here for this. I think the Transporter.
I meant Transporter.
Well,
Transporter.
The first one was all this shit. It was the same fucking lone wolf and cub. Like, I shouldn't know kids. Oh, there's a kid. I think it's like an adult. I think they sleep together. But like, it's like
human trafficking.
Yeah.
You know, it's cool because he gets to have sex with her.
Yeah,
so,
right.
You know.
But yeah, I feel like I don't know what the original. I'm trying to think. What are the big assassin movies? You know,
there was the famous movie Hitman.
Yeah, there were two of them.
Love that one, right?
Hitman 1, Hitman 2, Hitman 3, all the way to Hitman 47. They made that one, and then they
was that movie called Agent 47?
Something like that.
Did I get that wrong?
I think it was Hitman Agent 47 or something. Like,
okay,
yeah, you gotta keep that
they
brand.
had to be very clear.
Yeah, it's a hot brand. I guess there was Hitman. There was the one we were talking about. There was the Transporter. I think that's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Jean-Claude Van Damme did a couple of these where he was just a guy that shot people. I feel like Jason Statham did Crank, which is a lot like this, kind of. Except it's fun and good.
I was going to say, so there's the point where, so like she got poisoned 24 hours later. And there's a point where she's like getting like a lot of adrenaline and other things to like keep her going for 24 hours. It was like, shit, they should have just made her do Crank.
Yeah.
Like that would have been way more fun. And like, who cares if it's like a repeat? No one's going to be like, oh my God, they remade, like they copied Crank. Oh, how derivative. Like no one, I'd watch Crank any day of the week and any derivative of Crank. Like,
yeah, this isn't fucking.
No one would care.
This isn't David Lynch levels of like possible. How could you imagine a female hitman? Like this is gonna be a by the books kind of movie no matter what. So copy a movie I like more, and then that'll be pretty good. Because it was just like, I mean, I think overall this movie is fine. I do think there is the new subgenre, and John Wick was this, and it's mostly movies trying to be John Wick. But this, like, we taught the actor how to do real stunts. Watch him load a gun fast, like you never believe. And they're long takes because the actor's really doing the stunts. And they're all pretty good.
She did load that gun fast.
She did good gun loading, and she did all kinds of stuff, stabbing and whatever, and like it was really bloody, and parts of it were cool. I think a lot of these movies, the beginning is cool, and then the end is just like a lot of shooting.
Yeah.
But like the shit where she's got a knife,
cool.
that one was cool.
Yeah. It's some of it's like so impossible, but like that's not like whatever. That like it's like barely a nitpick, and like that doesn't matter. But it's just like so funny how like there's parts where like, wow, she loaded a gun fast, how cool, and then oh my god, she fell 90 stories and is totally fine. Because even in John Wick when that happens, I'm like, all right, that's not why this is fun, you know.
Yeah, especially and when he like, I don't like how John Wick in one of the movies, I can't remember which one, we learned that he's got like a bulletproof suit or something. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
is that like it might be the last one, but it might have been the first one too. And it's just like it's like, this guy's just a guy. That's kind of the fun of it. I like watching him do cool stuff and get punched, and like that's great.
Also, the other thing that makes John Wick great is like the enterprise of assassin world building from that movie, and like the movies are so well. But in this movie, it's like they're assassins, whatever.
They shoot Japanese mafiosos.
She like. I know Woody Harrelson's her handler, but she has someone in her ear who's not Woody Harrelson, who it's like, the window has closed, and just like nothing. We know nothing about this human.
That's true.
What makes her tick?
Yeah, we got to find out on Kate too. The new Kate, young Kate. Kate Origins. What if we got another movie in the Kate-averse?
Was there any part of you that thought she might make it? She dies at the end.
Yeah, she totally does. I don't know. I feel like by the time she was already very dead walking into that building and she looked like a fucking zombie, I think I'd given up on her surviving. There's a second where like that one, I call them mafioso, like they're Yakuza, right? That's pretty... Yeah, well, one like, Yakuza guy comes out after she's been shot for the 80th time, and he brings her a vial of something, and I was like, okay, this can either be, more adrenaline, or it's just a cure. But by that point, I'm like, she's gonna die from something else anyway. This isn't video games. She's got internal bleeding and stuff.
And it's like, I get it, movie, and like,
Yeah.
it's fine.
It's
just like by the end, it's all the emotion has been pulled from the movie, so it's like whatever.
Yeah. Did you have it on when you watched it? Do you have subtitles on?
No,
I don't always watch movies with subtitles, but sometimes I do.
I rarely do.
Missing out.
Only if I need to. Am I?
Yeah, because sometimes you get to read what kind of music it is. Like,
I bet that is fun.
It's pretty funny when it's like
sad music,
yeah.
sad piano music,
Yeah.
shit like
high
that.
energy Japanese pop music for the trailer and stuff. Very fun.
This movie, man, the guy was like a real like I don't know what you call like a person who's like in love with Japanese culture, like a Japaneseophile or whatever. But all over, like,
Yeah.
fine, whatever. But parts of it felt like pretty unnecessary.
I mean,
like, is this just for you?
I know what Japan looks like. I've seen Snake Eyes. It's a couple of hallways and it's one alleyway. And we also saw those in this too. But at least there was a little bit of like what the culture's kind of like in that one scene where she kills everybody in like the Is it a bathhouse? Am I crazy?
I think so.
It might have been. That's part of the movie I watched the other day. I think that was what happened though. I started watching this movie as I was doing something else, and I was like, "This is fine." And I got to that scene where she was killing everybody, and I went, "I should probably watch this." They worked real hard on this scene, and then I sat down and watched it, and I was like, "This scene's pretty good." And then I took a break, but that scene's pretty good. It's probably about 30 minutes, 40 minutes into the movie. You want to see the cool stunts?
Yeah, that's probably the only part worth watching.
Yeah.
So yeah,
the ending is interesting, but I wouldn't say it's like that great.
Yeah,
like the bits where she's killing people and talking about revenge, like that's okay. Woody Harrelson's like good in it. The scene where Woody Harrelson talks to the little girl, that's a good scene.
No, like but he probably had to record. Like he might have done all his filming in a day.
Yeah,
there's
that's the
very
way.
Little Woody Harrelson.
That's the way to do it. And he crushed it. His day was well spent. I want to see him in more stuff. What if he in the next? Well, I guess he dies. But what if he recruited Extraction Man to fight Kate in the next one or something? Like, what if there was a Netflix assassin, like identical assassin movie universe? Yeah, where they all just assassinate each other. That'd be kind of fun. Well,
it's like go ahead.
I was just say they're also making another movie with The Rock. I don't know if they're assassins. I feel like they're probably bank robbers or something. But like, man, Netflix.
Oh, I saw that. And Gal Gadot.
Yeah.
Gal Gadot.
And what about that other one where the Ryan Reynolds, who was in that one, was also in one where they also did crimes or something? Remember that one with Michael Bay, where everything was like overexposed? Yeah. Well, yeah, that doesn't say too much, but it was like a Michael Bay. There was one guy who was like, it was like cars, guns, parkour, and one guy was the parkour guy. That was, oh man, yeah.
So
yeah, Kate was.
That's all I got on Kate.
It was okay. Like I don't think it was that great. I don't know if I liked it more than Extraction.
I did not.
Did you like it more than Old Guard? Oh, wait, you haven't seen Old Guard.
I didn't see it, unfortunately. I don't know if I would.
So this is your least favorite of the John Wick clones. Yeah. Have you watched Atomic Blonde?
Yeah, I love Atomic Blonde.
Yeah,
Atomic Blonde's amazing.
Atomic Blonde, I think, does a little bit more work to make the main character kind of fun. Like,
yeah,
she's got there's some sexiness, but there's also just some edge and sarcasm and all that shit that makes characters immediately likable. And like you could do it when you're like really stoic, like John Wick, and just don't say anything. But yeah, I feel like you need something like the wife and the dog in the beginning of a John Wick to make the stoicism work, because you're like, he doesn't need to say a damn thing to any of these people, kill them all. But with like Atomic Blonde and Old Guard a little bit, it's a little bit more like, it's kind of cool when they quip it at each other.
Yeah,
it should be more like a Marvel movie. I think that's my take on it. Diggins would agree. What do we got next? We got
a great movie next, called Malignant.
Oh, this is a movie. So how did this tell the story how this came up?
Well, I was texting you about, hey, when are we going to do the podcast or whatever? And you're like, hey, you want to do Malignant? It's crazy. And Kate was kind of boring. So you're like, let's talk about Malignant. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, and I was only like 20 minutes into Kate. And I was like, this is not going to be a fun podcast if it's just Kate. But you guys took your medicine. You listened to us talk about Kate. So now we're going to talk about Malignant.
All right, let's talk about fucking Malignant.
DJ, you want to
go like spoiler light to like start, and then maybe like spoiler full?
Sorry, you cut out there for a second. What were you saying?
Oh, sorry. Like start spoiler light, and then maybe go like spoiler full.
Yeah, it's tough not to spoil it because I guess it all depends on how an individual movie watcher, when they figure out what's going on and how many pieces they have at any time. Because I feel like there was a point where Hannah and I had said all of the things, but just hadn't smushed them all into one theory, which is kind of what the movie does. But like, so yeah.
There was a point where I did say the thing, and it was probably 20 minutes before the reveal. So, all right, we'll do at least like 5 minutes general, and then we'll do full spoilers. Because you're right, there is like a point where it's like, okay,
it's tough with the opening scene. Kind of giving you a fair amount of information. I think the opening scene's great tonally, but I do think maybe without that information, the twist would come more out of left field. And by twist, I mean just like what's going on. Because I wouldn't say it's quite a twist. The same way that like a Shyamalan movie, it's like you couldn't have even imagined that he was dead the whole time. But this, it's like, it's been like you really got to not be paying attention and not get some of this.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
But, okay, DJ, Malignant, directed by James Wan. What do you think the IMDb summary for this bad boy is?
Fuck me. Okay.
I'll give you a hint. Can I give you a hint?
Yeah, please.
Just want to make sure. Yeah, no gender whatsoever.
Okay.
I saw a word that I was like, how the heck? But then it's a different word, so ignore me. But yeah, what's your IMDb summary for this bad boy?
No gender, really.
No gender.
Because I'm like, how else would I describe her?
Exactly.
A former like, and they probably don't want to give anything away in it. God damn it. Okay, a former medical patient has to confront. Are there female pronouns or no?
Oh yeah, I mean there's pronouns, sure.
Okay, has to confront her past when a disease. Oh,
I'll tell you this because I feel like I should have made this a little clearer. It does not spoil the movie. It spoils the movie in terms of like kind of telling you what the plot summary is, but it doesn't tell you like, yeah.
Okay. All right. I got it.
Start over. Not. It's not spoilery.
A group of. Oh my god, I don't know why I'm struggling so much. Okay. A group of people must determine who is responsible for a string of murders after a former medical patient comes to grip with trauma from her past.
I think this is like a solid D.
F minus.
Yeah, it's pretty low. I think the pitch for this movie, like the IMDb summary that I'm about to read you, I think is pretty solid.
Like the pitch,
because it gives you a pitch for a horror movie that is technically something that happens in this horror movie, but does not get into what is really bizarre about this movie.
Okay.
So I'll tell you, the only thing you really got was murder.
Oh, good.
But here we go. Madison is paralyzed by shocking visions of grisly murders, and her torment worsens as she discovers that these waking dreams are in fact terrifying realities.
All right, so I agree with your assessment. However, I don't think the movie thinks that's what it's about.
No, I don't think so either, but I do think that is a solid IMDb summary that doesn't give any of the weird stuff away. Like, I think for me, if I read that IMDb summary and then I read the title of the movie, I was like, well, that can't be. Why is it called that? And that would set off some red flags for me that like something else is up. And I also feel like if I read the IMDb summary and then saw the first scene, I'd be like, okay, there's something else going on here.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. It so yeah, D minus maybe. I don't know if they make
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
It was
it's weird. I don't know. It was hard knowing how the movie plays out to be like, how would they? But you're right. It's like, oh, she's seeing the murders. But like that part of it, they don't zone in on until they start about halfway through.
Yeah.
And then it carries further till the 2/3 part. And then it's the twist. And then it's the rest of the movie.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot going on in this movie before that. Some things that set up plot developments later to feel so by the end of the movie. You're like, oh yeah, there was a murder in the beginning of the movie. I forgot about that. I forgot about that husband guy. So like, yeah. This is an interesting movie. Like I said, it's by James Wan, written and directed by James Wan.
He did the Conjuring movies, right? That's
he did.
His like big claim to fame.
Conjuring, I think Insidious, Aquaman, and the Saw movies. I think those are like his big credits. would you believe, DJ? So James Wan has a story credit on this. Would you believe that there's a couple of other people who have story credits on this?
What?
Yeah, which
Heck no.
like I can't imagine. I'm saying that to get to something else, but also like, can you imagine having him run this by you? You're like, oh my god, that's amazing, James. This is going to be terrible or great. Who knows? But so here's who wrote this movie. James Wan, someone named Akilah Cooper, who wrote some of Luke Cage, some of The 100, some of Grimm, some Avengers, one episode of that Jupiter's Legacy show everybody watched and loved. And then someone named Ingrid Bisu.
Okay.
Now, here's where this gets interesting. Ingrid Bisu is also in the movie.
As who?
I don't even think this is worth guessing. She is the what's her name? The crime scene investigator with the big glasses who's like, "Oh, you're so handsome." You know? Remember her?
Oh yeah, I thought they were going to play on that trope more, but you know, they fucking dropped that real quick.
You would think so. Would you believe it, DJ, if I told you she is also in a relationship with James Wan?
Get out of here.
Yeah, I know. Imagine that. I'm trying to find like a confirmation of this, but they did say this in the Red Letter Media, and I think this is true. Yeah, they're married. They were married as of 2019. So, yep.
Well, good for them, I guess.
I mean, look at what we got out of it. Worth every date. You know, love prevails. If love is worth anything, it makes a Malignant, then it's pretty sick. This movie was wild. And yeah, so it was written by James Wan, Ingrid Bisu, and someone whose name is Akilah, who I've already forgotten. Just a murderer's row of writers.
Almost literally.
Yeah, almost. It's got a lot of people in it, none of which I recognized. Like, absolutely no actors that I could even place.
There were a lot of archetypes, you know.
Oh, yeah.
You had your horror movie, you know. James Wan knows how to be like, oh, yeah, I know how to put all my horror movie stereotypes in here.
Yeah.
It'll be fucking set.
So the main ones, you got Annabelle Wallace as the main one. That's her name. Madison Mitchell, yes. And then you got another actor. This is a little confusing. Maddie Hassan plays a character named Sydney Lake, who I'm assuming is the sister. She is mostly in a show called Impulse or something. That's all I got. Annabelle Wallace, I don't recognize her from stuff. Peaky Blinders, Star Trek Discovery, the movie where Jeremy Renner is great at tag. All good stuff. Yeah. The only other person I think of note is hunky detective George Young.
Oh, he's so hunky.
Very hunky. And he is in a show called Containment and a show called Deja Vu and other things you would assume. Just like, it's really hard for me to watch a movie made by a major studio and not recognize anyone. But this happened. That happened in this. It's really special.
Well, and it's crazy, too, because... So, I'll talk about our thoughts. But... I watched this with Michelle. She likes horror movies way better than I do, and I feel like she has a better like barometer of what like makes like certain horror movies and stuff like that. Because I have none. I'm like, I don't know what's good. I'm just like, is that scary?
Well, this is
I'm
good.
Just a coward.
This is the hype. You know, never gotten better than this.
But she was saying, she's like, wait, this is a movie you could go to a theater and watch today. I'm like, if you wanted to. She's like, wow, that's crazy.
Wouldn't you love to?
No.
Don't you want to see this with an audience? Like have them all go, what? At the same time?
Wait, Nando, let's talk about our movie theater experience.
Oh, yeah. What's our movie theater experience like?
Mine was perfect. I ate pasta while I watched the movie that I freshly made and then had some cake. It was so good. You know, I had my blankie with me. It was just so great. Oh my god, it was just a perfect movie theater experience. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. I'd say mine was also 10 out of 10. No blankie, no pasta.
What?
Yeah.
How do you do it?
I don't know what I did. I feel like I must have eaten food at some point during it, but I don't remember what any of it was. But nobody was annoying during it, and it was just the whole... I feel like this is a movie. It's tough. Partially, I'd like to see this with people, because I'd want to see their reactions, but also partially... I like being able to talk to the person on the couch and go like, what the fuck is this? Is this what I think it is?
Well, especially in this movie, because you want to suss out like what's going on, right?
There's so much
like
to talk
in real
about
time
during the movie.
Yeah, it really is. Like, I would feel like a dick in an actual movie theater.
Yeah.
To your point, though, I do see, because, like, with Old, right, it was probably fun to have everyone laughing at, like, bonitis and poison rust knife and, the baby died from lack of attention.
That was funny.
But then you wonder, like, Old doesn't have intentional comedy.
No.
It's just accidental, and it's like, is this movie, like, where, like, is it intentional? Is it accidental? I don't know.
We'll never know. I have not watched an interview with James Wan that has led me to believe this is a goof or something. I think he must know that this is goof adjacent. Like, he can't have not watched this and gone, this is cool. This is a good, scary movie that everyone will like.
Yeah.
Like, I think he must... I think this movie was definitely influenced by campy B movies, especially a certain aspect of the twist that is reminiscent of other campy B movies. But, you know, the tone of the first scene is very clearly like, this is pretty silly and whatever. But... If were it not for that, I think this would follow a pretty James Wan-y formula of, like, you know, just like, it looks like a regular horror movie, kind of plays out like a regular horror movie until things get really weird. So, I don't know. I honestly couldn't tell you.
So is my thing where, because I don't watch horror movies regularly and I don't know, like, the beats and, like, what's supposed to happen when, am I at, like, this, like, weird disadvantage where I don't know that at the beginning part it's like, oh, he's doing a goof? Like,
I think there's a difference between this. I think you watch the movie, it is not like, you know, Conjuring in the beginning. Like, I don't think there's a beginning of this movie that takes place at, like, some sort of what appears to be an asylum or something like that.
Yeah.
And, like, at one point a character grabs, like, a gun and loads it with a blow dart with, like, a little red tip. And, like, so, and it's shot like a B movie, kind of monster movie. It's like, that has to be in the DNA of that. But everything beyond that from the beginning on, where like the cinematography, the coloring screams just James Wan movie. Like,
right, okay.
So yeah, it's very strange. It's almost like the pitch for this movie is, what if a B movie monster showed up to a James Wan movie? Because like in the beginning you kind of see the origin for whatever it is. And then after that, there's just a James Wan movie where, like, characters are, you know, like, talking about their lives and stuff. And, oh, a murder. And, oh, another murderer. Here's the cops to talk about the murders. And by the end, I think it's still a James Wan movie, mostly just with this one really weird thing in it. And so that's why I think it's very, very strange. Yeah, it's really weird.
So, like, okay, let me, like, try and give, like, an example. I don't know. It's like Tropic Thunder.
Yeah.
Like, I can watch Tropic Thunder and be like, oh, it's like a goofy action movie because there's like all these things and I'm like, oh, they're making fun of this and this is like obviously a comedy. But like, you don't have those advantages in horror movies because is it like, it's like really weird to say, like, is it bad movie writing or is it like we're doing an homage, like we're doing a goof? Because my surprise was I watched the movie and I'm like, this is a bad movie. But then I go on Rotten Tomatoes and I'm like, oh my god, everyone loved this movie. Not like love, but it had like a 76. It was like much higher than I was like ready for. And it's like, so what did I miss? And I'm reading the reviews. It's like, James Wan does an amazing homage to the 80s horror blah 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 genre. And I'm like, oh, that's what this was? And I was confused. Like, it's weird that he gets a pass for what I think would be considered bad, but it's like, no. He just did a good homage and did like a goof fest, which I'm not saying you can't do, but I guess where I'm stuck is like, fuck, why was that lost on me? I watch movies because I don't watch horror movies. And like, I guess, how could it have been made like more obvious? I don't know.
Like, I don't think, like, it wasn't a parody for sure, right? Like, it wasn't like Scary Movie, which is a parody of an existing movie. But it does, I agree. It treads the line of satire or something like that. If it's a very difficult line to cross. I feel like one of the rules of satire is you have to know that it's satire, otherwise it doesn't work.
Right.
Now, I don't think that's quite what this is, but like, I don't know. I think this could be a producer's where like he made a movie and everyone was like, what a good homage to these movies that are poorly written. He was like, yes, that is what this is.
Okay.
You didn't mean this dialogue would be, you didn't think I meant that this dialogue was good, serious dialogue. No, I imagined it being homage to bad movies. I'm a genius. James Wan.
Right,
Thank you. I deserve all the credit because everything happened. Like, I feel like, I don't know. I see, first of all, I think there's some things about it that just feel so intentionally bad. But then there's other things that I'm like, that probably wasn't intentionally bad. I think we were getting the best performances these actors could muster.
Yeah.
So I don't think they were taking good actors and being like, play it like it's a shitty movie. Like, play schlock, baby. Right. I think these actors were, like, trying their darndest. And
giving it, yeah.
Although I do think there was one actor that knew exactly what was going on.
Who?
The disco sex worker. Like, I feel like there's no way she came in, saw wardrobe, and went, oh, this is a good movie. All right, let's go. Yeah, but
yeah, like stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I guess, but it's when it's not. Maybe I'm just not nuanced enough, but when it's just like peppered in there throughout, I'm like, why is it like? Why is it so random or like inconsistent?
Yeah, I think that's a valid.
Like, why
concern.
wasn't it filled with disco sex workers?
Yeah, I mean, it almost kind of was. Like, I'd say there were some archetypes and like characters that were bad, like that were just like, would fit right into a poorly written movie. And but I don't know. I'll never be able to be completely sure.
And I'm willing to take like the criticism of like, DJ, not everything could be like, oh my god, trip on a banana peel, like where's your nuance? Like, I'll like take that criticism that like I'm missing the mark there. But I think this movie, like, even within the construct of it's trying to be funny, but it's telling like a way too complicated story. Like, if this was just like, there's an axe murderer and we're gonna like do like horror elements but schlock, that's fine. But like, it feels like James Wan was also trying to do like a Shyamalan, like, what's the twist, man?
Yeah, I think like, I mean, having watched the Fear Street movies recently, I think they fit right into that, like, that envelope of, it's a very self-aware horror movie that trades on the tropes of previous movies that people know and love. And I think this is almost that, except there is no point during the movie where, besides the opening scene, which honestly feels like completely disconnected from the rest of the movie in terms of like tone, but there's no moment like that where I'm like, this movie is aware of what it's doing.
Sure.
I just can't tell. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I think because like so I'm talking about some like finer points. The main character, Madison.
Yeah,
the acting I felt was so, I don't have a good word for it, like inconsistent. Where like some of the parts I'm like, some of these line reads are a choice.
Yeah,
but then there are other parts where I'm like, some of these lines are bad lines. Like, I don't know how she could have delivered that line better.
Right,
and then I don't know. Go like, is that on purpose or is it incompetence? Like, I think you could play the like goof schlock card only to a point. And then I think you hit a wall of, hey, you wrote kind of a bad script here because you have a goofy, like, I'll give the movie like the opening scene, like, that's funny, right? Or that's like a clever thing to do, like, you've been a bad boy, Charlie, or whatever.
We have to cut out the cancer.
Sure,
that is
totally fine.
Yeah,
but like then you get to the middle parts where you're trying to carry us to like the second act or whatever, and it's a little rough.
Oh yeah,
it's a little rough.
I'm not convinced that James Wan is what I would describe as an actor's director. I think he is he can direct an actor that is already pretty good and has a lot of natural charisma, like a Jason Momoa or a Willem Dafoe or whatever, and get a pretty good performance out of him. But like, I mean, remember that scene in Aquaman when Willem Dafoe is training young Aquaman and he's like, they killed your mom, and then the young Aquaman's like, what? They killed her because of me? And it's like one of the like worst line reads in the last like 10 years. I think like I just feel like maybe there's some dissonance there where like a great actor can make it work, but a not so great actor maybe can't. I also think there's lines in that script that are really bad. Like when she sits down with her sister and tells her something just flat out like, hey, by the way, matter of fact, here's this thing about me. Like, there's no way that could be. I think you could rate that scene maybe a little bit better, but I don't think there's an actor that can deliver that quite in like a Meryl Streep kind of just good acting way. I think you could do a little bit more over the top schlocky, like Jack Black kind of acting with it that would be that would also fit the style. But this wasn't that either. I think that most of this acting was pretty in the middle, and
Yes.
I just think this part of the movie is just they had not good actors. Some of the most not good actors I've seen in a very long time.
Well, it's hard because I think that the movie has like like a good opening, a slow first act, drags into the second, and then has like a better ending post reveal. But like by then you've probably like pieced enough of it together. So all right, can we talk like spoilers?
All right, let's spoil Malignant. DJ, when you heard of this movie,
yeah,
what did you know about it going in? Anything?
I knew literally zero.
You knew it was called Malignant, right?
I knew it was called Malignant, and that you told me it was on HBO Max. What was funny was, as we were watching the movie, Michelle was like, I've seen trailers for this. Because she didn't know, like, she knew zero about it until she realized she did. She's like, I didn't realize this was a movie that's, like, in theaters now.
Yeah.
Like, I just thought it was, like, some horror movie. And she's like, I've seen fucking trailers for this shit. And every time she's like, I can't... And what's funny is, like, there is an element of this where it's like, this seems like it's made like an old movie, not like a 2021 movie, but it's like half and half, I think.
Yeah.
But anyway, no, I didn't know anything about this movie to directly answer your question.
I mean, when you heard the title was Malignant, what did you think was going on? Did that, like, because obviously, you know, that is stuff.
It's hard to, like, go back, like, before the first 5 minutes of the movie, because as soon as she says, time to cut out the cancer, right. I'm like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't think I paid it much heed prior to time to cut out the cancer.
Got to pay it heed, DJ. If there's ever been a slogan of mostly nitpicking, it's heed above all else, baby.
Yeah, heed above all else.
It's heed time. I thought I came into this movie, I had seen the trailer once and then not really paid much attention to it. So
sure.
I was also kind of going in blind, especially my cousin was like, I talked to him and he was like, you gotta watch this movie. And I was like, I don't know, man. He's like, no, you do have to though. And I said, okay. Is it scary?
No,
and he said, not really, kind of, but it's mostly, it knows what it is. And it's kind of I don't know. He kind of described it the way we've described it so far, like kind of maybe self-aware, kind of. And that was enough to get me in the door. But okay. I think it's one thing that I think is so weird about this movie, for me and the way I experienced it, is just like I had nothing. No idea. I didn't even know what it was. Like I didn't know if it was a ghost or if it was a guy.
Right.
I don't know much about James Wan in terms of like, I'm assuming most of his movies are pretty paranormal since, you know, I'm pretty sure The Conjuring is like ghosts or whatever.
Yeah.
But, like, besides that, I think James Wan, because of Conjuring and Insidious, has kind of created a modern horror aesthetic that this is. This, like, really, you know, dark, like, crisp, well-shot horror that, you know, isn't, like, a prestige movie in any sense. But it, like, feels like not shit. like yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
It's not like I feel like there was an aesthetic in the 2000s that was like what Saw sequels became. I wouldn't say Saw 1, but like where they were all very overexposed and like in your face and overly sexy and gory and but like as like kind of a joke. And I feel like these kind of have become way more cool and serious, and you're like, I don't know. There's just a really interesting atmosphere that I think you could almost kind of say James Wan, I don't think he like created, but like definitely kind of perfected. This movie reminds me of movies like The Ring. Did you watch those when they came out back in the day?
No, I really have like no horror agency whatsoever. Yeah. Like I really do have like zero when it comes to this shit.
I'd say you're missing out, but like The Ring is The Ring. Like you've seen the parodies of it, you know what it is. Like
yeah, it's fair.
So I think a lot of them, the ones that are worth it, have made it into the pop culture, like into the zeitgeist, and I wouldn't be like definitely watch that. I think there's some schlockier ones like this that I think the experience of them is kind of the fun of it, or like, you know, it's just so zany that parodies wouldn't do it justice.
Right.
I'm trying to think of other movies that are like this, because we did in the 2000s get a lot of homages. We got Your Cabin in the Woodses. They made the Evil Dead show, like, and I guess we have the other horror aesthetic currently going, which is your Jordan Peele, like Twilight Zone. What if society is the bad guy, but also it's kind of ghosts or whatever Us was. So like,
yeah,
and so like, yeah, I don't know. This feels like the natural this feels like if you took a 2000s like horror movie like The Ring, and just ran it through the James Wan machine, because like the Ring was those movies were bad. Like the acting was not good, and like it wasn't terrible, I guess, but it wasn't anything special. And I'd say that's what this is. I don't know. It's so weird.
It's funny because I think those were like a special kind of bad where it's like, and again, I haven't seen them, but like cultural awareness where like I know what The Ring is.
Yeah.
But I feel like those movies like were loved because what they delivered on, like just in terms of like premise and like, because if you think about it, like horror movies, you know, gangbusters in the 80s, I feel like probably slowed down in the 90s and then had like a little resurgence into the 2000s and kind of are what they are now, where there's like the freaky creep out ones, kind of like The Conjuring.
Yeah.
And then there's just ones where like you get a not actual horror movie, like, I don't know, like Happy Death Day.
Right. Or Freaky. I haven't seen Freaky, but like that seems like that's what that is.
The escape room movies I watch, those are actually bad.
See, those seem like The Ring. Those feel like artifacts of that genre.
Yes. Yeah. So,
I think
just because, like, oh man, a puzzle, right? Like, it just like that fucking shit.
Yeah, and there's something about the actors, like the types of people they get for those movies, very much reminds me of like your Saws, your Saw 2 and Saw 3. Whereas this is not that. This feels more like your Insidiouses and stuff like that. I will say, like, yeah, I think that the aesthetic of horror is interesting because in the 90s it was Scream. That was like that was the game changer, as well as Alien sequels. Although the ones, you know, the first Alien came out before the 90s. And slashers kind of had like a little bit of a resurgence in the 2000s, but Scream was also kind of self-aware enough that it kind of took the piss out of slasher movies. So like, you know, they kept making Jason movies, they kept making Freddy movies, but none of them, I don't think quite hit. Yeah. And then we got Saw, we got Paranormal Activity, we got Blair Witch, we got all that shit in the 2000s, and like, I think Blair Witch was like 99. That was really like, what if we made one of these but very cheap, and the premise was a lot of normal kids and one monster man or monster child or whatever. Because there were so many like that just, oh my God, they were turning them out. Like there was the Ring, there was The Grudge, and I think a lot of those were built on like jump scares. They were the jump scare genre.
Yes.
And I hate them for that reason.
They're the worst.
But the things inside of them are pretty fun. This movie, not too many jump scares. A couple in the midsection.
Yeah.
But once it kind of turns into an action movie at the second to third act, definitely. But even maybe before, like right around the midpoint, I feel like it becomes an action movie.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So the jump scares just wouldn't fit into that. Okay, let's talk about the twist.
The twist.
So, or just the premise. All right. So you got, what's her name? Madison. She works at somewhere where they give you scrubs to work. Is she a dentist? Yep. Is she a veterinarian? Who knows? It doesn't matter. She comes home from work one day, all pregnant, and her husband sucks.
Yeah, her husband's a dick. He's watching UFC in the bedroom.
Yeah, with a plaid shirt on.
My head hurts.
Yeah.
And she goes, my head hurts. My head hurts.
Yeah.
My head really hurts.
And she's like, pregnant, and he's like, babe, the game's on. I gotta watch the game. That was, I think, my first sense that, like, oh, never mind. This isn't like a schlocky movie. This is like something a little different where, like, they're playing this part pretty straight. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
I do think the line read.
Also,
oh, yeah?
I was just gonna say, if you're watching UFC in the middle of the day on a weekday, you're watching reruns, bruh. So,
yeah.
You know, sort your shit out.
Maybe he's watching, like, Japanese UFC or something. Oh, he's just that big of a fan, you know? He's yeah. I mean, I think watching UFC on your bed, in your bedroom, on a smaller TV than the one in the living room, that part confused me a little bit. Like,
right?
I feel like he's obviously a terrible husband or boyfriend, I can't remember. Partner.
I think it might have been husband, actually.
Yeah.
Because she had the ring on, so yeah.
So he's a terrible partner, obviously, but also he's kind of unreasonably so. I did love the bit where she turns the TV off and there's a full second before he goes, hey, I was watching that. Like,
I know. The lateness, I'm like, again, you're like, is this purposeful?
Yeah, such a weird pause. And then they fight, and how is that for you, watching that bit where he slammed her into a wall?
Yeah, I was like, oh, less of this, please.
It was wild. I was like, oh man, he's gonna like.
He just takes her head and like boom right into the wall.
Like we've all seen movies like this where the husband is a abusive husband. It's usually some sort of backhanded slap or something. Not you. I'm sure in the real world there's this, but I feel like the movie shorthand is that it's like bam, and then she like, gets a black eye or whatever. But this, obviously for purposes which will be discussed later. But she like, man, bounces off that wall. Like
I will say, and this is gonna come out weird, but I'm gonna go for it anyway. This movie makes the best fictional case to not abuse your wife or partner or whoever.
It's true.
To like physically abuse. It makes a really good case against it. Not that one needs to be made. You shouldn't do it because it's bad and hurting people is bad. But this movie almost says this is the price you pay. For abusing
and I think
your wife. With
this movie, I was fine with him dying after I saw him watching UFC in the bed. Like,
I know,
there was
right?
enough movie telling me this guy sucks for me to watch him die in a horror movie. I don't need to see him do that many terrible things.
Wife.
Yeah, but
too much movie, too much.
I mean, it's great because it the first sense for me that things were a little off. He hits her against this wall, and like if we're not doing it justice, he like takes her head in his palm and just slams it against the wall. Head bounces off the wall, huge dent, and then she like falls over. She is bleeding from the back of her head, like a lot.
And he's like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah,
like I did a whoopsie,
and she
watched a little too much UFC.
Yeah, I feel like he's like, oh, in UFC it's like I forgot the walls aren't fences here, they're walls. But the craziest part of this is, it's not, like, I feel like usually in a movie like this, it would be, like, a smack or something. It's so bloody and so extreme, and she lays down on the floor, locks the door, and is like, I don't want to tell the cops about this or whatever, I just gotta do nothing. And you're like, she's going to die. This is it for her. I don't see a way she survives this.
And it is bananas because, like, you're like, wow, she's bleeding a lot. Like, a lot. Like, maybe needs some, like, help or whatever. And wouldn't you know it, this whole thing becomes, like, a through line for the movie. Oh, my God.
It's so important.
And it's, like, it's crazy how important it is. Because at the time, you're like, oh, this is just, like... Because that's, you know what? This is, I think, kind of solidifies for me, like, why I had a little bit of, like, consternation with the movie. Because, like, is this the movie being schlocky... with, oh my God, so much blood? Or is the movie being like, no, it's a plot point? And it's like, I felt like there was a little too much of that. Like, playing both sides of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's definitely a schlocky plot point, but also...
But it shouldn't be both.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. I can't quite tell. Because... And then, like, and she gets this gigantic head wound, and then wakes up the next day... and it's just even more head wound. Like, the head wound has not closed up at all. Pillow bloody, and we'll find out why. But also, I'm like, sweetie, you're going to die. This is not good. Like, there's so many rules that I know secondhand about, like, not sleeping with a concussion. I'm pretty sure those rules also apply to bleeding head wounds.
She probably got a concussion.
Yeah. I mean, it's so bad. And then the husband is killed. What did you think of that scene?
Good scene.
It's kind of cool. I think the way they did the monster thing, which makes more sense later, was looked pretty good.
Yeah, I give them high marks for that.
I do think... What is that from?
High marks for that? Oh,
I know, but there's like a movie. It's probably a Marvel movie where someone says something. I'll give you high marks for that. I don't know. There's people in the chat. Maybe Ultron. I think Ultron says that.
Freaking out. They're like, oh, you idiots.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Ultron does say that at one point to Black Widow, I think. Okay. Anyway, wait a second, is DJ Ultron? Is that your malignant? But okay.
Nando.
Yeah.
I can't even like try and maybe half fake a James Spader. It's like, it's not gonna happen.
No, I can't do it either. Diggins could. Ugh, man. This is what
Diggins.
He'll never have another chance.
Turkey.
Yeah. So she wakes up. But so the husband is killed pretty good. I do think there was a little too much like bad guy in shadow for me to not be like they're hiding something about the bad guy.
Well, it was that, and I think they only wanted to pay for so much. Like, if we're being super honest,
perhaps, yeah. I mean, Yeah. Did you notice the bad guy walking around all weird?
Yeah, it was one of those things where, like, something's off here.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think it was a lot of it was me going like, what the heck? That doesn't look right, but I couldn't place it.
And you have to, like, solve the puzzle as you're going through the movie, is, like, what it basically becomes, which, like, it's fine, and at some point it's like, here's the exposition dump. Are you ready, kids? And, like, it's fine, but, like, at some point, I said what the thing is, which, I don't know, do we want to say what the thing is?
I kind of want to hold on to it a little bit, because we haven't talked about what the first scene completely is. In the one in the hospital, and I think it's a fun surprise.
Well, I got to a point where I was like, this! And it was like, yes, this.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely some things that make it a little bit more clear than others. I think there's a couple of red herrings they throw out in terms of characters, but then there's also things where if you have a theory worked out, there's at least one thing for me that happens that was like, well, this doesn't make sense. This kind of throws the whole theory out of whack. But also, the answer is no, it doesn't, apparently.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's fine. But the also talk about their house. It's humongous. This is a James Wan horror movie house. 20-foot ceilings. It's insane how small this house is on the outside and how big this house is on the inside.
You have women who does job in scrubs and, like, deadbeat husband?
I guess, yeah. He's probably got a UFC podcast or something, you know?
It makes sense. He probably, like, is Joe Rogan's producer.
Oh my god, making
He's got
bazillions.
A huge ivermectin deal.
Yeah, he was slipping like extra random bullshit pills under her door. Take these, honey. These will clear head wounds. I think no one knows.
Rub some ivermectin on it. You'll be fine.
Yeah, but so the house is bizarre. I only mention this because it does come up a lot. We see more and more of the house as the movie continues, and it gets more and more preposterous. So she was pregnant, but then she is no longer pregnant.
She had 3 miscarriages?
Yep.
Something.
And that's like a point of something with the husband. The husband's like yelling at her about this at one point.
Yeah, why do my babies keep dying inside you? And you're like, oh my god.
Yeah, like, I don't know, maybe your babies suck. Maybe it's your thing.
You could have shit sperm.
Yeah.
It's definitely a thing.
Like, do you have other babies we don't know about? Where are you, like, what are you basing this off of?
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, so she goes to the hospital, and she's like, I lost a baby. She tells her sister. And the sister's in this, by the way.
That line read was bad.
Absolutely terrible.
I'm sorry. The baby.
Everything around that scene was very, very bad. And that was where, for me, I was like, there's a little bit of incompetence here as well. Mm-hmm. It's not.
Yes.
It's not on purpose. Like, completely.
Like, sometimes you could just, like, fuck up.
Yeah.
Right.
Like there's no way. There's no way. There's like, even if this is schlocky, it's not enough of either one. It's not enough on one direction or the other. But she goes to her sister. Sister shows up at the hospital because of the murder, and she's dressed. You know what she's dressed as, DJ? A fairy princess, because she's an actress. You know. That's important. That'll come up later. Makes face.
Yep.
But she's flirts with Hunky Doctor.
Next phase.
What'd you say?
You say next phase?
No. I said like perplexed face or something. Like, that comes up in the future, you would assume. It doesn't.
I thought you were saying that'll come up next phase.
Yeah.
The next phase.
Yeah, phase 2 of the one of her.
Malignancy.
Yeah. Oh, my God. I mean, they're itching for a sequel. I think they might get it, too. I feel like this is a hit, for me at least. I want more.
I just don't know where you go. You want more?
I want more. So she's at the hospital, right? And the head wound is still going. Whatever it is. And she doesn't know about it. Mm-hmm. Like, she knows she has a head wound, but she's not told anything about it. I assume
she doesn't know, like, what the deal is.
Yeah, I assume when they find you unconscious in your house and you wake up in a hospital bed, part of the before part is a bunch of scans of your head. You know?
I would also assume that, Nando. I think that's a good assumption.
Especially if they're getting enough information to be like, the baby died. Like, this isn't just, she didn't just show up. You know, and then they're like, all right, let's get down to business. They had already done a lot of stuff. They give her no information about anything else potentially going on interesting in her body. That's weird.
Why would that be important, Nando?
Yeah, you'd think. I mean, even the smaller parts of what's going on weird in her body when it comes to, like, some things that happened, you're like, yeah, I mean, how does that fix itself? How do those things not become what they were before? However, I guess it's magic, because part of it is magic. But it's this weird mix of, like, magic and real practical stuff. You know?
Yeah, it's both.
Yeah. What'd you think of the detective, Mr. Kakoa? His name is Kakoa.
Oh, yeah, handsome man.
He's a
I
hunk.
thought he was fine.
Yeah.
He certainly was handsome man.
I would say might be the best actor in the movie. But
No. I mean, he's just playing grizzled detective.
Yep.
You know, I'm not saying that's easy, but
I know. He feels like he could have been plucked right out of some, NCIS or something like that.
yeah, easy. Yeah.
And he's like, your husband was murdered. Isn't that interesting? Also, sorry about that.
There was no sign of forced entry.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, make of that
That's
what you
odd,
will.
right?
Yeah. And
did someone have access to the house? Was someone in the house?
malignant in the house. That's what they should have called it. And his whole deal is like, yeah, he's nice and hunky, and all the women are in love with him, including the sister who is
the CSI.
Well, yeah, and her, yeah, the one that is
She fucked.
James Wan's wife. But the actress, the sister, is like kind of into him,
Yeah.
and he's also kind of into her. I don't know a lot about murders, but I do think they probably don't let you do that. Even if you want to, they still don't.
I agree. I think that's probably the rule.
Yeah.
Because, like, suspects are a thing, right?
Yeah. I think she would be pretty high on the suspect list. She might be my prime suspect, in fact. I don't know if I'd, assuming we know that if Kakoa assumes that the wife didn't do it, then I feel like the sister is the obvious next suspect.
Right?
She has keys. She has motive. I don't know if she could. I don't know if she could do it, but why not?
She was estranged because the husband kept her away or whatever.
Mm-hmm. So lots of motive. And I don't know what happens if your husband gets murdered and your sister hates the husband and stuff. But I do think she goes from supportive sister to honey, he didn't deserve you very quickly. I feel like there's a little bit of hey, he wasn't a perfect guy. It sucks though. I mean, but she's like, I get it. You probably hate him already. So fuck him. Let's not dwell on this murder that happened in your house. Now, if there's a murder in your house, how long before you get to go back?
Well, how long is it a crime scene?
I don't know.
I feel like that's the question.
Couple minutes, something like that.
Just,
Yeah.
We just gotta take the backwards fingerprints and then we'll
Yeah, I
we'll
feel
get
like
outta
the
here.
crime scene must be insane. We never get any information about that in terms of what the people say. I guess they say well, they were wearing gloves and all kinds of stuff. But
Yeah.
I feel like if that's the crime, you go this is a big deal. We got to call the army. Something's up.
Or one of our psychic friends.
Or one of the psychic friends that exist. Yeah. Also, hypnotist and psychic, not the same thing.
Nope.
Similar, I guess, in terms of you sit down in a room with them and sometimes they look weird. They could be kind of a strange character in a movie like this, but there's a big, humongous difference between the two things.
Yeah.
But okay, so then we start seeing murders. Madison sees murders. What'd you think of that?
In pretty quick succession. We get to this part pretty.
Oh yeah,
pretty fast.
pretty immediately. Well, actually, before that, so husband dies, baby dies. Madison goes back home. Sister breaks in her house. That part's fun. And and Madison sits down with the sister. And do you remember what she says?
I don't.
She's like, I'm so sad about the baby because I wanted a blood connection. That's all I wanted.
That's right.
And the sister's like, well, you got me. I'm your sister, you dick. I don't know what you mean by that. And then Madison says, and this part really was this set me over, was no, you don't understand. I'm adopted. As little new information to throw out to us, the audience. As if we've been spending more than 10 minutes with this character. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you hide an adoption of an 8-year-old?
Well, the sister wasn't born, right?
Yeah, but there's pictures, I would assume, that don't exist. No baby pictures, nothing from 1 to 8 of this child in their whole house. How did they hide that from the sister?
Yeah, well, maybe she's dumb.
I think she is.
We know that
she's very dumb. There's things that happen later that will also, make that case for you.
Reveal this to be true, yeah.
But, that part of it as a surprise, as a movie watcher, I'm that's a bizarre thing to reveal to the audience at this moment in the movie. But also, it's there's no fucking way. Absolutely not. There's no way that you would be 30 and you'd never recognize this. Facebook
Right?
page. Like, there should be so many things, so many clues.
I didn't even think about Facebook, but yeah, it's probably a big one.
Like, just shit like that where you're like, oh, man, just like, because people put baby pictures and stuff like that up. Oh, where are your baby pictures? None of that online, no, none of that. Absolutely nothing. No record of you existing before 8 years ago. That's weird. And, yeah, like, I even think, like, that 2-year-old kid would probably figure it out. And be like, hey, where's...
It's like, hey, there's something suspicious
Yeah,
here.
she is a baby, right? Before? Do you have any proof of that? And the parents would be like, oh, you're our first baby that was 2. Whoopsies. But doesn't matter. So she is adopted, so that's some information for us. And then we got some murders. What do you think of the murders? Do you like them?
Yeah, so it happened in, like, pretty quick succession, and, like, they were fine. Like, honestly, I was happy to, like, quote unquote, like, get on with it.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, all right, we're moving through. There's a revenge thing here. You know, putting the pieces of the puzzle together. Yeah, I thought it was good, honestly. I thought a lot of it was good.
Yeah, I thought the murders were fun. I like that one person that got killed with their ridiculous spearhead trophy.
Oh my god, who makes a trophy like that? Like, because it's supposed to be this snake wrapped around the, I forget what it's called, but like how they used to get rid of like tape. Not, yeah, and it's not snake, it's like tapeworms or whatever. But like that's how they used to get rid of him in the old days, like inch by inch. But never anything wrapped around a fucking sword.
Yeah.
Unless that's what she was doing all the surgeries on in her weird hospital.
Right? Like, it's funny because it's a sword so that it can be a sword later. But also, like, in a movie
like
like
why
this...
is it a sword in the first place?
Yeah, you could just turn the thing into a sword later, just, like, hammer it a little bit and turn a thing that's, you know, not a weapon into a weapon. But this is, like, the funniest little set dressing. It, like, feels like a video game almost, where, like, the character, like, you interact with statue weapon. And it's like, that's what that is, obviously, because what else could it be? It's gold. It's very... it looks heavy. And yeah, Madison sees this murder in her house, but not really, kind of. And then, you know...
She gets, like, a vision every time there's a murder. And it's like, whoa, she's seeing the murder.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
The walls all kind of melt. And this, I remember, I went back after I saw the movie, watched the trailer, just because I was like, what did they tell you about the movie? And this was, like, the selling point of the movie, it seems like. It was, like, some sort of psychic connection.
The IMDb summary.
Yeah, exactly. Now, at this point, I think for me, I was like, oh, it's a twin or something, right? Like, that just twin became very obvious to me because I think I said that to Hannah. I was like, yeah, her little twin connection memories. And she was like, oh, it's a twin? I was like, oh, yeah, I figured that's probably what's going on, right? Because of all the blood relative thing. And I kind of left it there for a while, which was a mistake because there was so much more. But yeah, there were some murders. They were fun.
Yeah. And they were all people, they were like doctors from this like weird hospital at the beginning.
Yeah. This hospital, by the way, well, I guess the character's going to go there in a couple scenes, but fantastic. If it's a real building, one of the most insane pulls in the history of location scouting. Also, speaking of location scouting, the next scene, I think, or maybe the one before this, no, probably after, takes place in the, what the heck is it called? Like, Oregon Underground or something? Portland.
Oh, like the Seattle.
Or Seattle, yeah.
Yeah, it's Seattle Sub-City.
It's a real thing.
Like from
Do you know that?
Futurama. I did not.
Yeah.
No, I learned something.
They just built another city, which is an insane way to deal with that problem. Just like,
right?
Let's try another city.
But kind of cool.
It's awesome.
Like low-key cool.
Yeah. And, like, I'm surprised that's not more of a thing, you know?
Just, like, more cities that, like, hit the reset button, like, you know what?
I mean more of a thing that I know about. Like, it's almost not quite the same thing, but, like, where you watch Watchmen and learn about the Tulsa Massacre, and you're like, how is that not something they teach you at school? This would be, like, a pretty wild tourist destination, although it seems terrifying. Like, even without murders, I don't think I'd want to hang out there. But, yeah, there's an older woman who works there. Or something, or whatever. And we see a whole scene there.
I didn't even get older vibe, by the way, even though that turns out to be the case. I was like, oh, it's a woman.
None of the ages in this movie make any sense.
No,
some
like
characters
all over the place.
Don't age in 30 years. Some characters, like, I think every character that is not... I think all of the characters are supposed to be 25. And I know that's not true, but I think that is. Like, every character is supposed to be 25. Except for all the doctors and this person who is supposed to be 50. I honestly think that's how it's written. Because it's just like, they have jobs, they don't really do too much, kind of married, pregnant, maybe, whatever. Like, the age with Madison never quite worked for me. Like, I couldn't figure out what they were going for with her.
you.
But, because, like, she is 8 years older than
her
the sister,
yeah.
right? How old do you think the sister is?
I thought she was, like, 23 or something like that. I was getting, like, right out of college, you know, just scraping by.
I kind of thought that, too, but then for some reason later in the movie, I thought she was, like, in her 30s. I don't know where I got that from. But if that's true, that would put Madison in her 40s, which definitely isn't right.
Well, and, like, so the one thing was, we could go by the years, right? 93 was the first scene.
Oh, right.
If it's present day, that's 28 years. So, like, 8 from 28, so 36?
That makes sense, and that means the sister's, like, 28.
28? Okay.
Yeah, she seems like a 28-year-old. And that figures that the detective's probably whatever the same age as Madison is. Maybe a little younger.
Yeah.
So the murders are all great. We meet the investigators again, and it's like, there's murders happening. Isn't that weird?
They pick two interesting stereotypes of the murders. They have like
Oh
like hard-nosed, handsome detective who isn't like jaded by it yet, and then we have like sassy black female detective who's like, I ain't got time for this.
Yeah, I really like. I think I've described that character to a couple people as Wanda Sykes. I'm not saying she's the only actress that is, but everyone was like, yes, me too. I think it's probably because I've been watching a lot of Curb, but yeah, that is exactly what I thought of for her.
I think she could probably do like, I'm gonna be one of those like Wanda Sykes impersonators people.
Yeah, I would love it. I would like. I think Wanda Sykes would have elevated this movie to an insane degree.
It would have been so fun if she was in it.
Yeah,
she would have been so good.
Watching her in the last couple of scenes figure out what's going on as like Wanda Sykes would be so funny.
It would. It really would.
And so there's there's those two detectives. There's also a way too hot to be just a random CSI who is pining after Detective Krakoa. Yeah. And she is the one that wrote the movie and also James Wan's wife. So yeah, fun little thing that also goes nowhere.
I know.
It's almost like Krakoa's actor was like, I don't want to do anything with them, but I'd like it if every woman in the movie just stated their intentions to fuck me. Can that be put in the script? It's just one line of just like, wow, what a hunk, huh? All right, the end.
I would love an intense amount of fawning.
Yeah.
Can that happen?
I mean, he is handsome, but not for a movie. Like, I assume everyone in a movie is handsome. That's the rules.
Yes.
But whatever. And he wears nice suits. He wears like nice little, I don't know, like very tailored kind of. He's a very fashionable detective. So the murders. We also get a kidnapping scene in the underground. Now we've started learning things about whatever the murderer is. The big thing is it has some sort of like Dumbledore fucking lights go out when around me power.
I want to talk about that. It doesn't make any sense.
Not a fucking lick. But go for it.
And not only lights go out around me power can control radios and other electronically powered objects.
Yes.
Because later it fully escalates to pacemaker.
Yes. Like
the escalation goes like pretty fucking far.
I can't even think of a supervillain with this power. Like the only
Electro?
Like, Electro could do it. I guess Electro could do it. Electro could do it if he was, like, at a really high level where he's, like, speaking through the pager. By that point, Electro is, like, living electricity man, as opposed to, like, guy who shoots lightning. The only one I can think of that could do this in my mind is the villain from Sky High. Speaking of Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Like, just this, like, bullshit technology villain who's like, yeah, I don't know. I can make the things go bad or better than usual. Because, the radio thing is one thing, and the lights are another thing, and they feel like different things, you know? Like, either one of those would be its own. Like, they don't feel connected to me. Could he also, like, I guess he does. He works like the fucking fridge. It opens a fridge at one point.
By the way, which also, the electricity doesn't open the fridge.
No,
when you, like, use a handle.
So I don't even know turn the fan up to 1,000,000,000% power just to, like, make the fridge open a little bit. I mean, like, at some points, it's like, I don't know if you've seen the movie Lights Out or heard of this. It's like a horror movie where like the ghost comes out but only in dark, so you turn the lights off and it just is gone. Like it no longer exists.
Sure.
Yeah, it's kind of like that with that because you figure what happened. And there's a couple scenes like that where you turn the lights on and it's just gone. But like, yeah, how did it open the fridge? It wasn't in the room, or at least
really good
it didn't appear to be. I don't know.
Who knows, Nando?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Find out one day. It's absolutely insane. That part of it is bizarre. It's like a power set to give this thing because it doesn't really matter. Like, it only matters to make things a little scarier a couple of times. But like, it's not like that's not what's interesting about this murderer.
Yeah.
It would be like if the Invisible Man could also do this, and it's like, okay, but Invisible Man, that's the fun thing. A lot of guys like this isn't. Yeah. Usually, I just kind of assume when the horror movie villain shows up, the lights are going to fuck up. Like, it's just part of it. Yeah. But this guy has to get this, like, weird superhero power. So we learned that. We also learned that it speaks with, like, a weird, gravelly male voice.
I've come. Well, it's time to cut out the cancer. It's so
like, weird. What the fuck? Weird. Yeah, bizarre. And, like, the funnier thing about that is, in the beginning of the movie, it's doing that through the, like, loudspeakers or whatever, the radio. So you're kind of like, oh, that's like the, you know, whatever. It's the embodiment of some sort of, you know, alternate whatever twin personality thing where, like, it's all in Madison's mind. She's making, like, it feels like a, you know, dissociative identity disorder kind of movie, like your Split, where that is just what the character inside the head. Yeah. But we will learn that thing has a vocal cord system that just makes that sound on its own.
Yes.
Insane. Insane. Yeah. What'd you think about, so murder one guy, we get a murder, we get a kidnapping in the underground. That seems kind of nothing. We get the murderer in the guy's apartment.
Yeah.
That seems probably fun.
Yeah.
It's a lot of like cat and mouse, like, whoop, this is gonna be here. No. No. And then it like turns a corner and like puts something on. And it's like, oh.
These people have no intellectual curiosity for all the fucked up shit that's going on.
Yeah, right. Like if your window just becomes unlocked, I feel like part of me, if my window just flew open, part of me would be like, that's not great. There might be a murderer in here. And the other part of me would just be like, is there a fucking bird in here now or something? Like, there's... this is a whole bunch of stuff I should check for, but he's just, like, got terrible windows. Why does this monster even need to use windows? It's magic. It can pretty much just teleport a lot of the time.
So...
Who gives... Like, why does it do any of this shit? This monster's weird. Yeah.
By the way, quick aside.
I
said Mary Elizabeth Winstead, so I have to talk about her. How much better is this movie if she's like the main character?
Oh my god. Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Wanda Sykes, Patrick Wilson, I'm just going to say, because he gets in these movies a lot.
Yeah, well, it's a James Wan movie, so, you know.
And who's the sister? I want like...
Who would be a good...
I want like like a completely different race. Just so it's even sillier that she's adopted. Just like, wait a second, you're adopted? Like, yeah.
What about like a... Awkwafina.
I'll take Awkwafina.
She could actually be like the good goofy sister.
Yeah, that would be fun.
We did it.
Yeah,
fan cast.
Also, all of these
Malignant remake.
All these doctors were from the flashback. However, none of them have aged. Some of them have different hairstyles. The first one does a little bit. Second guy who dies in this scene where he's like open window, exactly the same. Like the gall to present that to me, a person watching this movie. Couldn't believe it.
What do you think I'm gonna do?
Yeah, loved it.
Even Madison kept the same hairstyle from when she was a kid.
Oh,
my! Aged this photo up 30 years.
Oh, aging the photo up 30. Can they do that?
I assume so, right?
How did they get?
We
her
have
face?
Aging and de-aging technology, for movies and shit. Like we must be there.
I just assume you do that, and then it's like, I don't know, man. She's white. She's kind of got this nose, bangs. That's a lot of people. Like when he's like, that's her. Obviously, she was at your desk. I'd be like, which one? Because the other one could have just gotten a hair. Like people color their hair all the time. In fact, I feel like someone who's, you know, maybe or maybe not doing murders, that would maybe just be an instinctual thing that they'd be like, I should maybe color my hair just so I don't. Because it's almost like the verbal Kint reveal at the end of Usual Suspects, but it's like 20 minutes into this movie. And very importantly, she's still having head injury. She's still bleeding out of her head.
The head bleeds every time. Nando, don't abuse your wife. Their heads will bleed every time there's a murder.
Here's my question. Besides all the murders that she's seeing and stuff, what does she think is going on with her head?
I don't think she thinks anything.
Yeah, I don't think she does. I think she's just like, oh, this again. But like, ostensibly this is the first time this has happened to her since childhood.
Yeah, which she kind of blocked out.
So she should definitely, like, listen, anybody listening to this, I'm not a doctor, but I don't even wear scrubs like in this movie. So it's like, what is he? I'm definitely,
you know, like how she does.
Yeah, I'm none of that
woman
stuff.
Is bleeding a lot. Yeah.
But if you wake up and your head is bleeding, that's probably a check on that situation. If you wake up and your head is bleeding 3 times, you've died. It is over for you. Like, and I don't even understand, like, the amount of blood you would be losing is insane. And I get it, there's magic and shit, but it's a wild, like, as a part of this movie and a part of, like, how everything's working, it's the part that I find the most bizarre. It's just that it's this character who knows she had a head injury, like, knows something happened. And she just wakes up every morning like, more blood on the pillow. Oh, well. Man, wild.
And, like, doesn't her sister find out at some point and she's like, Maddie, no.
I think she might. I can't remember. But okay. So, eventually, we start seeing things. So the person at the underground gets kidnapped and they're in an attic. An yet to be seen attic. Isn't that interesting?
They were kidnapped. Yeah, isn't that interesting indeed? And they've been kidnapped by the mysterious... the cancer must be cut out.
And we've seen all of one houses, so this could be an attic in any of those houses. Any of the one houses we've seen. And this woman is tied up in the thing. The detectives come over because there keep being murders that that Madison's like communing with. And this person gets free of her chains or whatever, and drops down what is like a foot, maybe. Because she's suspended a little bit above the floor of the attic. Can you imagine being her and just crashing through the whole floor? Like, how was the fucking other person managing that?
She falls like 30, maybe more like 50 feet.
Oh, yeah.
Like, she falls.
Like,
and she's not Black Widow, so
no,
she can't
yeah.
just, like,
or
get up
or
from
what's
that
her name?
shit.
This might be Kate. This may be a Kate future movie. Or maybe this part of the Kateverse, but... yeah, just it's so funny. And I think this is a 3-story house, so I feel like she also falls through another story.
Yeah, so the floor was also weak there or whatever.
This house is made of cardboard. And it looks like it's it's carved from a single piece of like mahogany. Like it looks like the thickest
Seriously.
house.
One tree made this whole.
But yeah, if you drop your body a little bit, just complete like it's like in like the Arkham games where you can just pull someone through a wall if you want to, but only if it's a highlighted wall. It feels like that, where like it's just like she accidentally just stepped on the wrong floorboard. So then they're like, well, you had her in your house, so you did it?
Yeah, it's you, right? Also, prior to this, which is crazy, she admits to the cops, I see all the murders, like, as they're happening, and I can tell you where a murder has happened. Right now, I can tell you. And the cops aren't going to be like, oh, so you did this murder and want to get away with this, so you're telling us you did a murder.
Yeah, like...
is that what's going to happen?
If I confess to having knowledge of a murder, even if it's bullshit, like weird, fancy dreams, I feel like they'd still be like, well, you're an accomplice or something. Like,
yeah, you're involved.
Yeah. However, there is a bit, and this really bugged me as throwing off my theory, when Madison sees a murder and then wakes up in her apartment immediately after. And I'm like, I guess she didn't do that murder then. Like, I was convinced. That's when I started suspecting the sister. Now, it didn't make any sense. But I was like, she is an actress. She's probably got wigs and shit. And also, she has keys to the house. And also, there's another thing that's going to happen that makes next to no sense if Madison does it. So, like, I'm like, oh, that, I don't know why, but that would work.
It's got a grudge or whatever.
And then we learn that there's flashbacks. Like, there's flashbacks to, like, Madison's childhood, where she had an imaginary friend
called Gabriel.
Because of religion.
Which is a name for an angel, but her nickname for Gabriel was the devil. Ooh, subverting expectations.
Yeah, I feel like James Wan has like a bag. They just pulls fucking like Scrabble tokens with different religious bullshit on them every time he writes one of these, because I do feel like this comes up a lot. Like biblical demons and stuff, and it's just like, oh, yep, the best friend's name is Joseph, and they live in the town of Nazareth. Like, it's just, yeah.
He has a dream coat, and it's red and purple and green.
Yeah, I'd like it if he just made a really by-the-numbers movie about Jesus. Because that's what he wants, right? Like, that's what he's building towards.
Probably.
Like a horror movie where Jesus is secretly possessed by a devil. But okay, so then, this is where things really kick into gear. Madison goes to jail. Oh, and we got one of these scenes before. Madison gets a phone call from unknown caller.
Yeah.
And she's like, who are you? And he's like, it's me, Gabriel. I'm doing it all. Do you remember the framing of that scene?
I don't.
Very fun. This is where I think we started piecing together the finer points of this nonsense movie.
Right.
You see it. She is looking in a mirror at herself, and then she turns around, and there's this fun little reverse shot of her and the back of her head in the mirror as she's having this conversation. Like, there's no editing, but it's like it's very clear, I think, in that moment that the scene is like, look at the back of her head. Nothing's happening. Which, whatever. Like, it just looks like a regular back of the head. I kept expecting, like, a hand to jump out of it, like in The Grudge. But, so then they put Madison in jail because they're like, you at least captured this one woman, and you probably did the rest of the murders, you weirdo.
Yeah. You know how you told us? Like, how you told us?
Yeah. And...
oh my god!
So so Madison's in jail with the Detective Hunk, and Detective Wanda Sykes. They're all three of them are in a room. The lights flits around, and Madison at this point has turned into a horror movie villain where she's just like, "You don't know anything about me. I'm the Gabriel is coming," and then Detective Hunk gets a call on his phone that reads unknown caller, and he listens to a cell phone call. So this demon can not only hack into a radio by using electronic radio frequencies, it can, like, fully possess a cell phone.
Which, again, we have no idea how.
Yeah.
Not even a little bit.
Like, it doesn't just noise comes from the cell phone. It makes a fake call from an unknown caller. Yeah. Where did it even learn, like... I feel like, again, we kind of talked about this. I remember this came up in Glass, where it's like, how did he hasn't seen a computer in 20 years. He doesn't know how any of the shit works. With this, it's like, I feel like he'd be like, oh, it's just like a radio. And Madison would be like, not really. I mean, it's like a radio, but, like, you can't, this is not going to be helpful for you. But.
Yeah,
he, like, used to hack the cell tower or some shit. And sends a message that's like, by the way, I'm the bad guy. Ha 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 ha. At the same time, the sister is going to investigate Madison at the hospital that has come up at some point. It's on some fucking, I don't know, note or something. Can you describe this hospital?
It's almost like a castle.
Yeah, it's like two Tower of Terrors joined by a smaller building.
And it's very Hogwartsy. Yeah. It's like on a big hill.
I was going to say, it's at the top of a hill by itself where lightning strikes and shit. And the dumb sister, who is dumb now, just goes by herself to check.
And she calls, like, the adoption agency, like, I'm looking for my sisters, like, whatever. And it's like, the woman's like, oh, I don't have any info on that, but I think that's there. And she's like, oh, fuck off. Like, the sister, like, had no time for it.
Yeah.
Which I was like, that's so weird. But, like, she's able to get in via magic, I guess. Maybe she had her Hogwarts letter or whatever.
Where's this movie take place? In, like, L.A.?
Well, Seattle.
Oh, right, Seattle, yeah. This place would be full of homeless people. Like, it would be...
oh, my God,
there's so many things that would be happening here. Either, and I was thinking about this, either homeless people living there, and, like, no one gives a shit. No one's there. Like, you can just walk right in.
Yeah, it's...
so that, podcasters, or, like, this would be a terrific place to film a movie. Like, there would just be sets constantly for movies like this where it's like, oh, it's a beautiful location, it's out of the way, and it is, like, completely empty, so you just go in, you don't even need a permit, like.
Yeah.
And and then the sister, like, just, like, finds a file and leaves, or not a file, like a tape.
And, like, a bunch of VHS tapes, yeah.
And she's just...
because then the next scene is her putting it into a tape recorder, or on, like, a VHS player. And I'm like, oh, they have this at the hospital? It's like, nope, it's her mom's house.
Yeah. Oh, and we didn't describe this. She parks on the edge of a cliff. Like...
she really
like a foot, maybe. Less than a foot from the precipice of, like... and not like a cliff, like a, tumble down a mountain cliff. Like a sheer drop into probably jagged rocks in the water.
Like you're dead.
Yeah, and
you're dead.
Having watched the movie, I don't think she knows this when she parks there. I think she just gets really lucky and stops at the right space. But like, I feel like if she was like on her phone, she'd drive right off that cliff. and then I feel like this is a big like fake out moment where it's like,
yeah,
you know, there's something's going to happen. Anything is going to happen, and nothing happens. Nobody's there. She doesn't fall off the cliff. Very interesting choice. Like, you figure the mom could just have this tape, you know, in a box of things that Madison had.
Yeah, like, oh, they gave this to me with her files.
Yeah.
Let's watch some tapes. Although, that doesn't work because they do that for the unimportant tape where it's like, Gabriel's my imaginary friend.
That's true.
And Madison's there, and she's like, oh my god, Gabriel, my imaginary friend, or whatever.
Yep. God. And then we get, so this is where the reveal happens.
Yeah.
This is so good. So there, at one point in the movie, like at this point, two things are happening. Madison has been thrown into like the pen, like the lock up for people in jail. Now, I don't know a ton about Seattle. I think it's not exclusively prostitutes that live there. But this movie seems to suggest that, like, I feel like if you go to one of those drunk tanks, like, it's drunks. It's people that are, like, you know, vagrants and DUI kids and shit. Like, but it is just Foxy Cleopatra and, like, that one character from Futurama who's always trying to go to New Jersey. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's bonkers. And the cell is humongous.
It's really
big. So big. And they're all like, hey, who are you? And she's like,
what'd you get arrested for? Putting on the wrong eyeliner.
Yeah.
Forget to bake your cookies at 3:50.
And I feel like,
like all that shit.
An acceptable answer would be, I am a sex worker like you. I just don't dress like a cartoon character. There's a really good business. Like, I feel like the reason you guys all got picked up is because you're wearing Halloween costumes. So you really should reconsider.
Try my lane.
Yeah.
It's way more discreet.
So we get the actual fucking video at the same time. Everybody's watching this video like, what's going on? And the video, now, when did you notice the wig on little Madison?
Like in the jail cell?
No, in the video of childhood.
I don't know, actually.
Because I feel like I saw that scene, because you're looking at Madison from, like, she's a child, so she's like camera's a little bit above her head, and you can you can look at it, and first of all, you're like, something's gonna happen here, because, like, you know, we're building a lot of tension, but also I'm watching it, like, her head goes back a lot. Like, that wig is deep. What is going on there? Is she like a fucking xenomorph in disguise? And it is because, so anybody that doesn't want to get spoiled, I feel like you probably pieced it together by now, in terms of, like, you kind of know what's going on, but you don't know what is actually happening. Yeah. I would say this is probably just worth watching this scene, because the reveal is so fucking insane.
Yeah, it's pretty bananas.
Do you want to describe it?
You can do it.
Okay.
Now. So like you're like revved up to go.
So these two things are happening at once. So Madison is like getting in a fight with all these women in the jail cell, like, and they're like, they've like decided to jump her in jail. And I know prison is usually kind of tough. Like, you know, people get stabbed there all the time. I'm pretty sure jail, every other time I've seen this set, the desk to prison is like right next to the desk to the little jail, right next to the door to the jail. Like, there is an officer right there. And I feel like if this is the case, this is what happens in this jail, the murder rate at this, it's humongous. Like, because these people seem very comfortable in jail. This is where they, you know, end up all the time. And also, Madison's done nothing to bother them. So I feel like every time they're all together, they're just like, do you guys want to kill a person right now? Nobody cares. This movie feels like it was written to take place in 1970. Besides the cell phones, the technology feels like it's like, well, why aren't there video cameras? Well, they weren't invented yet. But it's today. It's a today movie.
It would have made more sense if it took place in like the 70s or 80s.
Yeah, and I think that's
really could have gotten this homage thing down.
I think one of the franchises, the Conjurings, I think do take place in the past. Like, I don't know if it's the 70s, but like they are, you know, so maybe this was just the premise for a Conjuring movie that they just couldn't do. They were like, oh,
couldn't quite name.
Yeah, we'll just like put this is gonna fit in the Conjuring verse, but it's actually pretty fun. But I guess we gotta set it in 2010, otherwise people will be confused. Or 20. So we're watching this video at the same time as Madison's getting jumped, by these like sex workers,
workers of the night.
Yeah, and I don't want to say it derisively, but like it's what you expect when you hear those words. Like it's like it really is like Reno 911 characters. But anyway,
yeah.
So the video, Madison's like Gabriel, whatever. I don't know, some bullshit. And the camera pans around, and we see that on the back of on the back of Madison's head,
this
is the thing from SpongeBob that is too old to buy chocolate, and it's in a wheelchair, and it has little T-Rex arms and a full spine, like an exposed spine, but like an animatronic, I'm assuming, puppet kind of thing.
Yeah.
And this apparently is right out of a horror movie from the 70s. Not like quite presented in this way, but like the vestigial twin is in there, like in your chest, and it's coming out to get you. And this is them like cutting this thing out of her head, and they're like in the video, they're like, we couldn't completely get it out of her head, so we just smushed it in.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, she shares the brain, because they were doing like flashcards, like showing it the flashcards.
Yeah,
like Apple +7.
Yeah,
and it's like, so they share the brain, and it's like, okay, we get it. I honestly, I had Siamese twin, I think, slightly before this, but I didn't think it was actively in her head. I thought like they exercised it and it lived and it grew outside of her.
Yes,
I didn't have it exactly being her.
Same. I thought Siamese twin turned to ghost because it's just fully dead and like it
yeah,
follows
yeah,
her around or
like
some
that,
shit.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's her. And then she rips open the back of her head like in real life in the cell
to expose Gabriel.
Yeah, to expose Gabriel, and everybody in the jail cell is like, "Oh my god, what the fuck is this?" And then
they do react appropriately.
Yeah,
that
like
they're like, "What the fuck? What the fuck?"
Even if you didn't think that this person was a monster person, you'd still be like, "She's going to die from this." Like. We should call somebody because it will seem like we did it and we'll probably all get in trouble. So like warden, I feel like even at that point, the warden would be like, you split her head open. And they'd be like, no, I mean, maybe we were just kicking her on the floor, but it doesn't seem like we did exactly this.
Not like this, bro.
Yeah. Like at no point do I remember a full split of her entire skull. So she does this. She also, and this is the part that I really couldn't get over, breaks all of the bones, all of her joints, snaps them so that she can walk backwards, do backwards.
Yeah,
walk.
I wasn't exactly sure how that was like going down or like how that happened.
Yeah,
like, that was.
I feel like
weird.
if that happens to you, like you still, it's not like you can just. Like it's not like you're a Barbie doll and you can just twist your leg around. So like twist your whole torso around. So now you walk forward the backwards way. You still have unworking legs. Like you may not be able to walk forwards, but you can't walk backwards either. But also she's powered by the devil kind of. Right. Which is why it's like, do you need to break your legs? Or like, do you need to do any of this shit? Why doesn't Madison just do it? And it is like a cool, like, looking fight, kind of, because she's doing all kinds of weird shit. I'm assuming they hired this actress, by the way, because she could do, like, she was a contortionist. I'm wrong about that.
Yeah, it's like, I can walk backwards.
Yeah, that was my whole thing. And it's so funny because you see her stupid little face on when Gabriel was in control of her body. Mm-hmm. And that looks hilarious. And she just beats all these people to death. Like, kills every single one of them.
Bodies them all and just... Yeah.
Starts with like Foxy Cleopatra, and at that point I did want Wanda Sykes to just be in the corner nodding like, gotta kill the black one first, huh? Come on. What are the odds, Larry? And Larry'd be like, she was the closest one. So she kills all these people, kills the guard because the guard like reaches his hand in like an idiot. And then there's a fight in the police station that is awesome. Like, it's so weird. Mm-hmm. Madison can take bullets. She fully takes a couple of shots because she's powered by the devil, I guess. So, like, what happens? This person got, like, little, what was her name? In May, something May.
Oh, God, yeah. Emily
May was born with a twin that was also the devil. and they cut the twin out, but it stayed in her brain, and it was still the devil, and then the head injury made it freed.
Yeah, and like it also like everything's tied together. So the spousal abuse was what freed it. It was living off the miscarriages.
Yeah.
Like it all came together. Like it was all Gabriel the whole fucking time.
So like if it's a magic,
the murders, the bleeding, everything.
If it's a magic the devil, why couldn't it just get out of the head by itself? What do you need, oxygen like the devil does?
Yeah, and also like how did it avoid a CAT scan?
Yeah.
Right? That, like, to your point, like...
Dude, that part is insane. Here? Like, the fact that the movie... I think there's an instinct in me when I see a horror movie that doesn't make sense to just go, they're dead, it's a ghost or something, whatever. And when she dies from a head injury 5 minutes into the movie, after getting, like, blood coming out of the back of her head and then falling asleep, that's the only thing that made sense in terms of, like, why hasn't she got a CAT scan? And it's like, she's been dead throughout the movie. But that's not it. It's that she's the devil. The devil is in her brain. And so, like I was saying, she has a separate set of vocal cords that are just the Gabriel vocal cords that have like a gravelly, like, oh, it's me, Gabriel.
I speak through technology. It's very, very not clear how I do this.
Wild. Yeah. And then everyone dies, kind of. Not really, though. A lot of them survive.
It's so basically like, I don't know, because I feel like the rest of the movie is just it's kind of how it plays out.
Yeah.
She's just a person who walks backwards, right? But she's also able to take out an entire police station, because that's where she is, of cops, like, doing nothing but shooting at her. And everyone, the detectives, like, every fucking person is just trying their best to kill her, and they can't do it.
Nope. And it's like...
they're all no ability.
Yeah, they're all trying... This is an open room, like it's some sort of bizarre open floor plan. Cop, like in the entire police station is no walls, so like there's nowhere really for her to hide. She can hide behind desks, but it's not like Daredevil where there's cubicles. And it's like, whoa, where is she? Right. And it's like she's just such a good contortionist that she could sneak around. Like there's a point, like they're just all shooting at her, some are hitting, and she's just like, no, this didn't do it, and then she just kills him. Yeah, it's like a bad improv scene where they're like, I shot you, and she's like, no, I snapped your neck. Continue going scene.
It's Michael Scott with the gun. Yeah. Bang, you're dead.
It really is. And she like kills another police, or beats up another police person. The sexy CSI who wrote the movie, she survives by being quiet, and I don't think she's really in it that much. She's like there. Hunk also survives. I don't remember what happens to Wanda Sykes, but something tells me she gets like thrown real far. Is that right? She doesn't get out of this scene.
She does. Like they throw a chair or something?
Oh, yeah. The bad guy's like running away, and then you're like, oh, she's running away, and she's really just getting a chair to fucking, like heave over at her. Like, she's beating all the cops with guns with chair.
It's really insane, and she's just a person.
Yeah,
She's just a possessed person.
Don't bring a knife to a gunfight, and don't bring a gun to a chair fight. It is not going to work out for you. She's a possessed person who just broke all the bones in her body.
So, she beats the whole police station.
It's really short on blood, probably. Yeah.
So she goes to the hospital to kill her mother, who we learn, like, the mother put her up for adoption.
Because of Jesus or something. Because her mom was like, she's an abomination. And you're like, I mean, she is. That's not exactly, like, the teen pregnancy probably isn't why, but, like, it might be?
Yeah, right.
I think it is. I don't know who's right.
These aren't related, bro.
Yeah, like, I feel like I think it's a... I also think the story behind the baby is, like, someone's, like, she's, like, assaulted or something. Like, it's, like, a... force.
Yeah, it was like she was like raped or something like that.
So it kind of reminds me of the story of Voldemort. I think it's this Voldemort thing where like he is evil because his mom and dad didn't love each other when they had sex with each other or some shit like that. Like it's like that. That might be Grindelwald's backstory. Who gives a shit? The movies are bad. So in the end of this movie, the mom is like in the hospital and the sister's like, I figured it out, and I'm like, we all know that too. Like, if you just showed up here, I think you'd be able to put it together. She's just possessed. It's nice that you had your little trip, but it doesn't matter.
Your little Thor excursion from Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
Or Fast and Furious 6, Brian going to the prison. It's good that you did that, but
Whatever
Very
you got from
unimportant.
that doesn't matter anymore, or whatever Vin Diesel says.
That was for you.
Yeah. So then,
For all of us.
Then also, we also learned, speaking of fucking superpowers, that Gabriel gives her mega strength because he gives her strength. Like, she has the strength of two men. Or two people.
Of three fetuses that he consumed.
Yeah, that's right.
For fucking hell.
And yeah, and that's when the sister's like, he's eating the fetuses, that's why you can't have children. And I'm like, that seems like something the doctors would know.
Yeah, your fetuses are being absorbed by the other thing living inside you.
Yeah. Like, after the third one, you would have someone. I don't know. I don't know quite how this works, but like, I don't know. What's an obstetrician? Who delivers babies? It's like a job, right? Special kind of doctor.
Yeah.
There'd be someone who's looking through you, being like, "Listen, this is weird, but there's like an extra organ in here somewhere that is just siphoning fetus. So we're gonna check on it.
Connected at the brain.
Yeah. It goes right up to its own spine. It's got little baby Tyrannosaurus Rex arms. Oh, God. And the sister's like, it's this. And Madison's like, okay. And Gabriel tosses one of them big old hospital beds at the sister. Now, the sister, I guess, also has the strength of many people because she tanks one of these shots. Like, she's crushed by it a little bit, but, like, she survives. Those things are like, so fucking heavy.
Yeah. She's like, oh, I can't move.
It's like, I mean, like, as far as the weight of this is concerned, it's like Madison threw an old-timey safe at her, and it landed on her, and she was like, oh, I'm stuck, but not like, also, everything's crushed. Like, it's all gone. Like, but she's still there to be like, I'm your sister. Madison's like, oh, yeah, I forgot about that. You weren't.
And so we get a fun little mislead where,
oh my God.
We think that Gabriel / Madison kills the sister.
Yep.
And then kills the mom, but that was actually Madison controlling the visions because now she can do it.
And
because she won.
Do you remember what she does to Gabriel?
I like, did she put her back inside her head or whatever?
Yeah, but like, what is that? How does that visualized?
Oh, I don't remember.
Like, it's a big jail cell, a big giant jail, like
20-foot
like bars, like from a cowboy movie. Yeah. And she's like, you're in my jail
like the one
cell
she
now.
was locked in. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, when did this become fucking Sherlock? I assumed it was just like, but like before, was Gabriel like in a jail? Like, is rattling?
Was she in a jail?
Yeah,
like,
who was in this? It's not like she wakes up in jail. She just wakes up to the murder, but whatever. And Gabriel's like, I'm gonna be back. And Madison, do you remember the last thing she says?
Like, next time I'll be ready.
Yeah.
Next time I'll be ready. Yeah.
And it's like, please make more of these. Also, by ready, you mean you're getting a surgery? Because like we said, 30 years have passed. I think medicine has at least like progressed a little bit. Also, you're going to jail. No one's going to believe this. You killed so many people.
I know.
Like,
oh God, it's so fucked up.
I kind of expected the shitty ending of her heroically killing herself or something, which is like not a great ending.
Yeah,
but at least it's the way for this monster not to survive and Madison not to just walk down. What's she gonna do? Is she just gonna walk down the street? Like, I know what it seems like. I did all these murders. Hey, you're that woman that did all the murders and could turn her back backwards, killed the entire police force. Yeah, that was me, but you don't understand. I was actually possessed by a baby, the devil. And be like, okay, but you still go to jail. Like,
yeah, it's like, you don't get out of this.
No,
lady.
Don't worry. I put the little devil thing in prison in my brain. So it's not gonna happen again. Like, I feel like if anything, Madison has to wear a helmet from now on. You know? A big giant Nerf helmet so she doesn't accidentally bonk her head and expose the devil.
Oh my God.
Like, also, I just feel like now this is way more interesting. Like, we have her now. She exists. We just send her around the world to fucking all the doctors. We gotta find out why her brain is a portal to hell. It's so good. It's so fucking stupid.
So, that's the movie.
That's the whole movie.
Malignant.
The whole police station, everybody's dead. There's no sex workers in town, and there's no police. This is lawless. This is what like Trump and all those people thought was going on.
Yeah,
in
like actually
Oregon
Seattle.
or Seattle. Yeah, just like this is how they got to
Portland,
that.
Portland, whatever.
Got them all.
The autonomous zone.
Yeah. Like, oh my God! Can you imagine being a police officer that has to one of the 4 remaining police officers?
You gotta deal with this.
Go to all the funerals for all your guys. What happened? Spin kick. What? He got spin kicked. Now he's dead. I don't know what to tell you. That's what happened.
Yeah.
She had the strength of 2 men.
Cut through an arm like paper mache.
Yeah.
With a sword. You wouldn't believe how strong it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
So many unborn fetuses made this possible.
There's so many people that I think need to go to jail at the end of this movie. One of them's that trophy maker. I feel like you make that trophy so that people can kill people with trophies. Like, who are you? What's a symbol? Like, oh, this is like the magic spear of fucking Zeus, the first Doctor. Like, yeah.
And it's a real dagger on there.
Yeah, so many people would accidentally just impale themselves with that thing.
Oh, fuck.
Just trip and then whoop. Like, it's a Final Destination waiting to happen. But
yeah.
Let's say Madison. Is Madison still going? I'm sure they're making all of these. I really do hope they do. Do you think she could beat any horror movie monster or something? Where do you think she ranks among the horror monsters?
See, I don't have a good repository for.
That's fair.
The horror monsters is the problem.
Like the Ring girl can walk through TVs. That's pretty good. But I would assume Gabriel could control TVs too. So I feel like you could just change the channel to not her.
I mean, Gabriel stops a pacemaker.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Fucking incredible what Gabriel can do.
And I don't know how a pacemaker works, but I don't think it's like that. I don't know. I'm not positive.
No.
I'm pretty sure if your pacemaker shorts out for a second, you don't just grip your chest and die.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty funny, though.
Oh, yeah. And, it was funny where I said, oh, pacemaker. And he goes, my pacemaker.
I guess maybe what Gabriel's doing is, turning the pacemaker up to 1 billion. And then he just has a heart attack. But so that means
we're setting the pace.
Yeah, I imagine Gabriel was just hacking that and turning it off, but maybe Gabriel also knows beyond phones how to hack pacemakers. Just turn them up. I don't know how Gabriel could do any of this shit. I don't know what Gabriel.
Maybe they'll clear it up in the second.
Oh
movie.
My God, that's how a lot of these go. First one is fun, and then the second one is just bullshit history lessons, and we gotta learn what the Exorcist devil's name is, and it's always so dumb. I hope we do get that. I think we will. I mean, maybe not, but it would be pretty cool.
See how it did, and if HP Warner's appetite is just to give James Wan money to do his do shit.
It can't have cost money to make. Some of the stunts and effect, the choreography and stuff, tough to do, but doable. There was one shot where it was overhead through the house, this humongous fucking house, and that seemed expensive, and everything else could have been cheap. I would.
Oh, God, yeah.
I would believe this is a student film if someone told me, not because it's bad, but that too, but just because none of the budget is wow, what an insane... I guess that the effect where the one room morphs into the other room, but that seems like the kind of thing that there's a filter for in After Effects now or something. So
yeah.
I don't see why not make these, unless James Wan doesn't want to. But just let the CSI director do the next one, whatever her name is, I already forgot. She wrote the first one. Mm-hmm. Give her a chance to direct. Although James Wan's direction's really my favorite part of this. We need to talk about, by the way, the editing in this movie is fucking insane.
Oh my God, it really is.
Characters die and then wake up, and then the next shot is a car and rock music driving down the street. It's so weird. But it's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on Malignant?
No, I'm glad we did it.
Me too. I think it's a weird enough movie that it's interesting.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, wait, here's my question. Could Kate kill Malignant?
Could Kate kill Malignant? Yeah, I think Kate could kill Malignant.
I think so,
I feel pretty confident.
That's up to the people, Netflix, HBO, quash the beef, make the Kate Malignant crossover everyone wants.
Figure this shit out, you cowards.
Yeah, it can't be that hard. I think both people are available, and they all know how to do stunts now, so whatever. All right, do you want to get to our classic segment?
Yo, let's get to our classic segment.
Yeah, do you have something to recommend to the fine people?
I do. I got one rec for today, and it's a big rec. I'm coming in with that big rec energy. I would like to recommend a video game that just came out, Deathloop. Got it for the PS5. I fucking love this game. So the premise is, I don't want to like give like too much away because I feel like the least you know about it, like the better. But it's kind of what it sounds like. You're this character. You wake up on this island, and you discover that you've done this loop where you're getting killed for at least a day, if not more. And you're trying to figure out what exactly the mystery behind this island is, and you know, like what's going on. You're trying to suss everything out, and I feel like it's really compelling with blending like the mystery of the movie and like really solid gameplay, and like giving incentives for here's what happens if you do safe play, here's what you do for like aggressive play, here's what kind of makes sense. The enemy AI is pretty good, the sneaking tactics are good. I just feel like there's a lot of good game here. And like a lot to explore in the levels, and you know, I really think like figuring out the mystery, because they're not like giving it to you all at once, and like there is a mystery to it. I think a lot of that exploration just makes the game really, really fun. And just like a cool amount of like tension during the game that I find genuinely enjoyable. So yeah, I'm all about Deathloop. I've been playing it a ton. I've heard it's been a little rough on the PC because they've just like spec'd the hell out of it, and like it's a little like buggy and rough. So it's like you hate to say like, oh, you gotta get a PS5, but yeah, it's a pain in the ass. I know. So but I would recommend if you could play it. Like it's like doesn't have to be immediately, obviously. But I just really wanted to throw that out there. Like if you can play it, I would absolutely super mega recommend it. I think it's so good. And even though it got delayed like 100 times, I think it was worth the wait. And Arcane Studios was like really trying to get this right. So that's why I like super recommend it.
Yeah, the aesthetic of it looks fun too. Like
it is fun.
It's not quite Borderlandsy, but it's also not Hitman. It's like somewhere in the middle.
It's very much like Dishonored, which is the other like big game that they did, right? It's right with Dishonored, but it's cool that instead of the aesthetic being like, you know, like late 19th century kind of like neo steampunk, this is more of like a 60s 70s hybrid of like technology, but you know, like some old school stuff there. Like some classic like 50s aesthetic is like really fun. Very kind of like Fallout, like reminds me of Fallout, but like the art style is just so brilliant. I think they're so good at this shit. So yeah, would very, very highly recommend Deathloop. I think it is great.
Nice. I do want to get that eventually. I think I'll probably wait for a PS5, so I'm gonna have to get one for Wolverine or whatever, but looks pretty fun.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm gonna recommend a couple things real quick. 2 comics that I'm reading, besides like ones like ongoing stories that I'm reading, which are all pretty good. And there's this new thing that Marvel is doing on the app where they make vertical comics. I don't remember if I talked about this last week. It's pretty cool. I've read the Shang-Chi one, the X-Men one, the Captain America one, like where they are currently, because they're not all finished. But those are interesting.
Right.
But the 2 in my library that I have been reading a lot of now, I've been reading Hawkeye by Matt Fraction. Like rereading it. It's fun. Like I feel like with that, a lot of the adventures are very like 1 or 2 books and then they go do something else. So there were some bits that I forgot about and I started reading. I was like, oh yeah, this was a fun little romp. It's like one of the best comics ever. Everybody always says it. So there's not a whole lot of new, you know, like I wouldn't say I'm not breaking any new ground. I would say if you've never read it, give it a try, but also just like look at it because the art is great. I'm also reading the Scarlet Witch series from 2015, which I never read, but I always like the covers of, by James Robinson. It's like Scarlet Witch is like trying to solve some sort of magic problem. It's interesting because it kind of talks, like reading it, you kind of learn like, oh yeah, there's not too much, like there's a history. Scarlet Witch has a history, but it's always with something. It's always like this story she did with Vision or the Avengers or Magneto or whatever. But there's not a lot of like she meets a character and he's like, I think I'm your arch nemesis now. You don't have one of those, right? And she's like, no, I guess I don't. So it's not like a super jokey story. It takes itself pretty seriously, but overall I think it's pretty cool. A lot of Ireland, which is always great. Yeah, I'm reading like all kinds of stuff in you know, singles. I just wanted to say David Aja is the writer for, or the artist for Hawkeye. So his work is very fun.
Nice.
Other thing. So I watched a show. I've watched a couple things since last week, but one of the things that I watched is a documentary on Amazon Prime, I think, called LuLaRich. Have you heard about this, DJ?
I have not.
So do you know what LuLaRoe is?
No.
Okay. So it's like multi-level marketing, or it's something that rhymes with pyramid theme, allegedly.
Okay.
Where this person figured out that she could make cheap skirts with fun patterns and sell them. And like, that was the whole beginning. And then it turned into a humongous like MLM, mostly based around leggings. And so it's four episodes are out now. I'm not sure if that's all that there is, so I don't want to go too far into it to like spoil it. But I remember when this was coming up. This was big in the suburbs, and people really like had these weird parties where they would be like, does anyone want these? They're really cool. And it's a interesting look at a pyramid scheme that is not food or makeup or something. Like that's the thing about it that I find so interesting is like usually a pyramid scheme is something that you couldn't make yourself. Like you can make makeup, but you can't make produced makeup. But these, like when she's selling skirts, she's making them in her kitchen, and it's kind of like you could easily just fake this. Just buy a bunch of patterns, be like, I'm LuLaRoe, but it's half price. Buy them. Because some of these people are making, and it's like a pyramid scheme, allegedly.
Yeah.
So some of these people are making millions of dollars on their upline. Like, I think pyramid schemes are fascinating. And it's a good, like, cautionary tale if you ever, like... I said this in a tweet. If you ever think something might be a pyramid scheme, it's almost definitely a pyramid scheme. And I always, want people to not get involved in them. But this one's interesting because it's also kind of a cult. And that part of it's real fun. So, like I said, 2 episodes in, I just got to the end of the second episode. A character's like, and this is how it destroyed my life. And then that's the cliffhanger. So I'm gonna finish it probably tonight. I think it's worth a look. And ask people, like, before you watch it or as you're watching it, ask people around you, like, do you know what LuLaRoe is? Because I feel like certain people will be like, oh yeah, I know what that is. I have several LuLaRoes.
So what's this called?
The documentary is called LuLaRich.
Yeah.
So it's like LuLa
Rich.
Rich. It's on Amazon Prime, and I think it's getting a pretty decent amount of buzz. So I figure if you turn on Amazon Prime, it'll show up.
Okay.
But yeah, that's it for now.
Nice.
Yeah. As far as like next week, what are we thinking? We don't know yet.
We don't know. We might have to put out a poll.
Yeah, maybe.
Or something else.
We have some ideas. We were talking about this before. You got a Dune movie coming out, so we could do the old Dune. We've got a James Bond movie coming out. We could do an old James Bond. Those are probably the 2 best ideas. We're not sure if we're going to do D. Arvin Hansen, but we probably will.
I feel like we have to.
I know, we don't have to. Like, he looks old, and I feel like that's pretty interesting. But will that get us through a whole podcast?
Talk about how he. Well, what about when he seduces the daughter by lying?
Yeah, like, and I feel like some of it just looks very boring. Like, Broadway musicals don't usually translate to screen a bazillion ways.
Do.
Yeah, and like,
they really do.
Close up on this 30-year-old man. That's rough. But it's also a crazy story that is bad. So maybe not bad, but way more morally ambiguous than I feel like the vibe a lot of people got from the first trailer, which is closeted gay kid. I don't know if you saw that chatter on Twitter, but a lot of people are like, wait, that's not what this is? And you're like, nope.
It's not. Yeah.
Closeted serial killer kid, probably. But yeah, so interesting, but maybe not completely podcast worthy. We will see.
Yes.
Anything to plug, TJ?
Roses and Rejections, as usual, talking Circle Season 3.
Oh, yeah, how is it?
I'm only like 2 episodes in. I'm higher on it than Season 2, but for like different reasons. A lot of the characters are making me angry, but I'm like, it's better than being bored. So yeah. Like lukewarm so far. Actually, no, I'm like hot, but like not in a good way. So I got to see where I land. I got to see how some things shake out. So,
interesting.
More to come.
Yeah, I do want to check out Circle. I kind of forgot that happened. But yeah, that is good. I was gonna say, I just put out a video about the Mandarin. Why I like that character from Shang-Chi. I'm probably gonna do another video soon. I actually just got something back from, which is good. About why certain episodes of What If aren't working for me, which I want to... I feel like I mentioned it on Twitter, and a lot of people were like, no. So that's going to be fun.
Just no.
Yeah, check that out on Patreon if you're a patron. Let me know what you think, because I was thinking put it up like before this goes out. Maybe. The other thing, not really plug, but on the Patreon, we've decided what our book club book for this month is. It's a book called Radiant Black, which is a news story that's supposed to be, I don't know too much about it. It's very popular now. It's written by a person who used to write Power Rangers comics, and the pitch is, what if a like shitty 30-year-old became a Power Ranger? And so that might be fun. So if you ever thought about joining the book club and you love Power Rangers and parodies of that, I guess, or something, satires, that is a thing that we are reading, and probably a book worth reading, because, yeah, a lot of people have told me, like, yo, it's great. And I'm like, I just didn't, I wanted to wait and see until there was at least a volume. Cool. All right. Well, until next week, I'm at Andovi Movies on Twitter.
I'm at Zippy by Day.
I'm at This Is an Odd Name.
Good night, everybody. Good night. Woo!
Good night. We love you.